please. Here comes Portia.
Here we go at 1 o'clock. Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live on this Tuesday afternoon. We're so glad you're here. I'm Tyler Fingert. We have a lot to tell you about. Remember, this is an interactive news conversation, so join us in the comments on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. So if you have something you want to talk about, let us know. We are actively monitoring it. If you have something you want to say about something we're covering, also join us in the comments. I want to get straight to one of our top stories, and that has to do with that tragedy that happened on the Beltline over the weekend. You know, that stabbing that resulted in someone being killed. Well, we can now report that the family of the suspect is apologizing. Police say 29-year-old Raymond Harris was stabbed to death by 54-year-old Jonathan Hamby, and Hamby, who has an extensive criminal history, was arrested. Today, we're hearing from Hamby's family, who wants to remain anonymous. They sent us a long letter apologizing for his alleged actions and demanding action from lawmakers. I want to read you some portions of that letter. They said in part, quote, "We are writing this letter with a profound sense of heartbreak, grief, and accountability. Yesterday, as in Sunday, a horrific act of violence shattered our community on the Atlanta Beltline. The pain inflicted upon the victim, their family, and every person who witnessed or was impacted by this tragedy is immeasurable. As the family of the suspect, Jonathan Hamby, we want to say directly to the victim's family and to all of Atlanta, we are deeply, unreservedly sorry. Our family is trapped in the agonizing reality of knowing that we spent years desperately fighting a broken system to prevent this exact tragedy from happening. Jonathan lives with a severe mental illness, SMI, that causes active psychosis. In his reality, he is under constant, terrifying attack from bystanders who are simply walking near him." They went on to address state leaders at the Capitol, saying in part, quote, "We are calling on Georgia lawmakers to introduce and pass legislation establishing a family-led structured decision-making act. This law would create a specific legal pathway in Georgia courts for individuals with severe treatment-resistant psychiatric illnesses who have a history of weapons or school safety violations." We are obviously monitoring this story, and we'll continue to bring you updates as we have new developments. It's time now to check in with our assignment manager, Tanya Mendoza. And Tanya, I know this is one of the stories we're following up on today. And just a short time ago, Atlanta police released some 911 calls and also the body camera video from that first responding Atlanta police officer who jumped out of his vehicle, pulled out his weapon, and took the suspect into custody.
That's right, Tyler. So let's start off with taking a look at that video and the 911 calls that came in from the Atlanta Police Department today. Annie Mapp is working on that story. She'll have that video and the 911 calls in her story today. She's also reached out to the victim's family and friends. Ramon Harris, the 29-year-old that was sadly killed in this incident, he was known to make jewelry in the Little Five Points area. So that's where Annie Mapp is right now, trying to speak to some of his friends. One of his point of contacts did release these photos to us today, and we have posted them on our website. We'll have more on that later, but let's look at that video right now, the body cam video, and listen into the 911 tapes.
911.
Hi. I'm on the Beltline right now next to Kroger and Real Tacos, and somebody just got stabbed in the neck.
Okay, stay on the line with me. I have the address, 675 Ponce.
It is between Kroger and Real Taco. You need to hurry. He's bleeding out. He just got stabbed in the side of the neck.
I understand. I'm notifying the police now.
So now we're looking at the body cam video there, Tyler, where the police officer gets on the scene. People in the area are telling him where the suspect is. And then this police officer goes over, talks to the suspect. You'll see that coming up here, and tells him to get on the ground and then arrests him. So that's what we have new on this story today. Annie will have much more throughout the day. And obviously, this is a big deal. We're going to to keep covering this throughout the next months and beyond. You know, the mayor has spoken out about it. The police chief held a press conference that day. We were in court yesterday when he waived his first court appearance. We'll continue to follow Jonathan Hamby's court case throughout its time in the Fulton County judicial system. Tyler?
Yeah, we're watching this all play out roughly about 40 to 45 seconds, maybe 50 seconds from the moment that officer gets out of his Atlanta police cruiser to the time he actually starts putting the cuffs on Jonathan Hamby. Again, this all played out Sunday afternoon about 4 p.m. Actually, I ended up walking by the scene just about an hour later on the Atlanta Beltline where all of this unfolded next to the Kroger, Ponce City Markets across the street onto the left there. Some restaurants are nearby there, so that's a very busy corridor for this to happen, and so this is a story we're obviously going to be continuing to monitor and keep people up to date on. Let's talk about this story out of Woodstock. There was a bus crash today that resulted in someone being killed. What can you tell us about this one?
Yeah, so around 6:43 a.m. In Woodstock, around Highway 92 and Main Street, a major intersection in that area, there was a school bus crash. It sounds like another vehicle hit the school bus. Unfortunately, the person who was in the other vehicle was pronounced dead on the scene, and Woodstock police say that of the children on the school bus, 2 were injured. One was taken to a physician by a family member, and then the other one was transported via ambulance. So we'll try to get a little more on that. We did have a photographer in the area, Jim Zorn. He got that video that you're looking at right now, and that was something that we updated throughout Good Day Atlanta. Tyler?
Yeah, certainly a tragic situation where someone was killed in that situation. Let's take people now to DeKalb County, where an unauthorized camping ordinance was talked about by DeKalb County commissioners.
That's right. That's where Ray Yedena has been all morning. He's working on that story. And basically, there is an update on this right now. So DeKalb County Commission were supposed to take up a controversial urban camping ordinance targeting unauthorized camping and public nuisance behavior. Residents and housing advocates were urging a no vote, demanding DeKalb County invest in a temporary housing and supportive services rather than criminal enforcement. They were at the meeting wearing yellow shirts and red scarves. They were there while the commissioners on both sides debated this for about 30 minutes before deciding to table it, to move it, defer it for 30 days. So that's where that stands right now. Ray's going to have the whole story a little later for you, Tyler.
Yeah, he'll be joining us here on Fox 5 News Live during the 2 or 3 o'clock hour to give us the latest information. Tanya Mendoza, thanks so much for an update on the stories we are working on today. Obviously a busy news day, and we'll keep everyone up to date throughout the afternoon. Tanya, thanks. And as we come back into the newsroom now, I want to get you caught up on some of the other headlines we're following. We told you about this yesterday, about a shooting in Avondale Estates. Well, we're learning new details right now at 1 o'clock, and I can tell you a Good Samaritan and her husband say they tried to help a man shot outside of an Avondale Estates auto shop on Monday morning. This all happened around 10 a.m. outside the Harley Collision Center on Maple Street. Avondale Estates police say a 47-year-old woman shot a 53-year-old man before taking off from the scene. Investigators say Hateville police later found the female suspect in a McDonald's parking lot with a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. Medics rushed the male victim to the hospital in critical condition. Police say he was conscious and speaking with investigators, and we spoke to a witness who works nearby but didn't want to be identified.
And then I could see that people were standing around across the street. He ran over there, and then he came back and asked us to bring medical supplies since he's a physician. And until the emergency services got there, we just tried to extend assistance.
Police say the man and woman knew each other, but they have not released a motive for the shooting. Let's talk about some mail-in voting changes that the Supreme Court just weighed in on yesterday. So with the midterms just around the corner, we could see new limits on some forms of voting. Nearly 1 in 3 Americans voted by mail in 2024. But on Monday, the U.S. Supreme Court cleared the way for the Trump administration to begin implementing an executive order signed by President Trump in March that restricts who can receive a mail-in ballot. The order would create a federal list of voters eligible for mail-in ballots and require the Postal Service to only deliver ballots to those voters. 23 states sued, arguing the federal government was overstepping their authority to run elections. The case reached the Supreme Court, where the conservative majority decided the states couldn't challenge the order. However, the Supreme Court didn't rule on the legality of Trump's executive order, leaving the door open for more lawsuits before Election Day. Time is running out for both sides. The first batch of mail-in ballots are required to be sent to military and overseas voters from North Carolina on September the 4th. And let's talk about the tariff war that is brewing between Canada and the U.S. and Canada striking back at the U.S. with retaliatory tariffs as the trade war between the two nations escalate. Canada's finance minister announcing today that it will impose counter tariffs on $20 billion of U.S. goods. It comes after the Trump administration imposed 50% tariffs on Canadian goods after trade negotiations collapsed. And Canadian officials say they did not choose this conflict. The new tariffs extend beyond industrial goods, and now they will hit everyday purchases, including dairy products, clothing, and cosmetics. Let's bring you a little closer to home now to Alpharetta, where after a marathon, more than 6-hour-long meeting, the Alpharetta City Council narrowly voted to change North Point Mall's zoning. So the move sets in motion plans to redevelop 100 acres into a huge mixed-use facility that includes a 20,000-seat arena with the hopes of luring an NHL franchise. Before casting the deciding vote, the mayor said the development could change Alpharetta's future. The plan has its share of critics, with some questioning its size, traffic issues, no firm commitment from the NHL, and the possibility of tax dollars helping fund it. But in the end, the mayor swayed enough council members to vote yes. More than 100 people packed the council chambers, with many of them having passionate feelings about the proposal, which also includes a music venue, shops, restaurants, and more than 1,300 apartments. And let's see if we can take a live look right now at the International Space Station right there, where astronauts are performing work during a spacewalk. The NASA astronaut and a European Space Agency astronaut are expected to be outside for more than 6 hours today. Their mission is to finish replacing the space-to-ground antenna. According to NASA, the antenna is a critical link that enables high-speed data transmissions between NASA's Mission Control Center in Houston and the space station. The work is expected to wrap up around 2:30 this afternoon, meaning they have been out there for hours today. So we'll continue to monitor this throughout the afternoon and bring you updates as we get them. Let's take a live look out at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on this Tuesday afternoon. Looks like an absolutely beautiful day out there as we're approaching 1:15 right now. But we certainly know that it is summer, so it is hot, and you can certainly feel the humidity. Let's bring in Fox 5 Storm Team meteorologist Alex Forbes now for a check of the forecast.
It's feel the humidity, or maybe even lack thereof, in some spots.
Yeah, I know. Depending where you are, and depending when you go outside. Because some points it's fine, other points I feel like, especially in direct sunlight, you feel in every bit of the heat.
Well, you're going to feel every bit of it by tomorrow. So if you're catching any break today, that's out the window tomorrow. Out the window, down the road, whatever you want to say. Because we're going to build in a southerly breeze. What's to the south of us? Well, that would be big bodies of water. What do big bodies of water do? They put moisture up in the atmosphere. So back to regularly scheduled programming. If you are one of the lucky several people catching a break right now, let's check out where things stand on Fox 5 Live. Viper 89 in Atlanta right now, 84 in Canton, 80 in Gainesville, 83 in Athens, 81 in Blairsville, and 81 in Dalton at this hour. I do have the satellite and the radar turned on. Notice there's not a whole lot going on out there. So even in spots where the humidity is somewhat higher, you're not getting the shower and storm activity bubbling up. So we got one last day of that before we're back to regularly scheduled programming tomorrow and Friday. By the time we get towards Friday, looking at that potentially being the wettest day of the week. So here's what I'm talking about. All right, 65 is kind of the cutoff point. Once you get above 65, Well, hold on. That sensor in Dalton is very wrong. It is not. The dew point is not 81 in Dalton. Once you're above, it would feel awful. It's possible. That's like a South Florida dew point. So 65, that's where it's like a little sticky outside. 61 is like, okay, you're feeling pretty good. 60, we'll take that. 66, that's you're getting into the sticky territory, right? And then it's exponential growth after that in terms of the humidity. Now, as the humidity goes back up, so do the rain chances. 30% Wednesday, 50% Thursday, 70% by the time we get to Friday. And the inverse of that is that the high temperatures do come back down a bit. Today's average high is 88. That's about where we'll be by Thursday and Friday before we slowly climb back into the 90s. I know a lot of people are asking, how many days till fall, right? The little break in humidity gave you, I wouldn't go as far to call it fake fall. To me, fake fall is like that first morning in the 50s. We didn't do anything like that in the metro. But still, if you're counting down the days, just to be clear, the 9 days to college football is to Georgia Tech's first game. They play next Thursday night. And that is kind of that's the real start of the season. I understand a handful of teams play this weekend. As far as I'm concerned, and as far as anybody who lives in Georgia is concerned, don't really care about it. 28 days till astronomical fall begins. 67 days until Halloween night
Probably
rolls
should put
around.
an asterisk on the college football one.
Yeah, I could have, but then I have to explain it every time, and that's when it just gets difficult. All right, here's your forecast for the Tour Championship. Gets started on Thursday. 30 of the world's best golfers here at East Lake. Temperatures going from the 80s into the 90s. I don't expect any day to be a washout. Say that up front, but we are likely going to see showers and storms throughout the forecast over those 4 days. Of course, a lightning delay would rule that out at any point, but again, not a washout any of those 4 days. Back into the 90s this weekend before we look ahead to the week before Memorial Day.
You're heading up to the Tour Championship today for the practice round. What are you going to be talking about when you join us a little bit later?
The weather. But, yeah. So we're going to be in the So Cool zone, which is kind of like the fan zone out there. So all the different activations that the people, the companies have. And if you know me, I'll end up at the shop. Got to go find a hat or something.
Well, you can bring something back for me.
Okay. Like Tyler will get a golf ball.
Okay.
There you go.
Hey, you know what? Still. Oh, and we're also talking Braves in a few minutes.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, you're Braves. You live right there. You always go. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about the Braves just ahead. We're back in 2 minutes.
I'm on my phone and I am trying to find the right channel to go live on. If there is any way you could assist. Yes. Oh, awesome. So audio-wise, I asked Kelly, that was part of the trouble we had when we left. She just said it's normal to just like talk no microphone because I don't have one of those yet. If we need it for the 2, I can get that done as well. But right now I just have the AirPod on my personal phone for the IFB. Wisnowski. Yes.
welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Tuesday afternoon. The time now is 1:20. Let's take a live look at Truist Park at this hour, where in just a matter of hours, there is going to be a big game where the Braves are getting ready to open a series against Los Angeles tonight. Atlanta comes into this one sitting at number 1 in the NL East. At Fox 5 Sports, Emily Wisnowski joins us now live from the ballpark with a preview. Emily, so glad you're here. Set the stage for us. What are you looking forward to, and what are you watching most tonight?
Ooh, great question. There's a lot of things to look for in this matchup in particular. For me, it's going to be Bryce Elder. So he's been complaining a little bit about his knee. It started, I believe, on June 9th when he was at Pittsburgh. He skipped his spot in the rotation at this last go-around so he could be nice and fresh for Atlanta tonight. Right now on the season, he's got about a 3.92 ERA. It's a sub-2 ERA in his last 21 starts. That knee, seeing how dueling it out against Tyler Glasso, is a phenomenal pitcher for the Dodgers as well. That's going to be kind of the key, and this is a huge matchup, like you said, because Atlanta only has 16 regular season home games left. End of August, things are dialing up a little bit in terms of playoff spots, what we're going to see from them. Right now they have to lock this one down because they've also got the Phillies coming to Atlanta in a few weeks as well.
Dodgers are at the top of their game as well. I mean, they're doing really well this season. How important is this series for the Braves to be able to stay at the top of the NL East while also battling arguably one of the best teams in baseball?
It's huge. You know, Braves fans were very saddened, I think, to say the least, when the trade deadline rolled around. A lot of Braves fans were eyeing Tarek Skubal to maybe come in, join the rotation, beef it up a little bit for the postseason, and the Dodgers actually were the ones that snagged him. So to be able to make a statement and say, hey, we don't have to go out, rather, use our farm system to get these picks. We've got the talent here. We can compete with anyone, regardless of a team like the Dodgers, who have the highest payroll in all of Major League Baseball. And so it's massive. And then, yet again, this road stint for Atlanta this past week wasn't necessarily their best. Win some, lost some. They still have a great lead over the Phillies, however, thanks to their last series. But just to be able to cushion themselves a little bit more, show fans that, they can compete with the best, because I always like to say, if you want to be the best, you have to beat the best. And right now, the Dodgers, these past few years at least, have been one of the best teams in Major League Baseball consistently.
And so what does Atlanta need to do well tonight to be able to come away with the big W?
Offensively, they've kind of hit a lull these past few games. And while starting pitcher, Walt Weiss always loved to say that, it starts with the pitching. It starts on the mound. But if your offense can't make runs, it really doesn't matter, or bring in runs rather. It doesn't really matter, how well your starting pitcher is doing, and even your bullpen following suit. So seeing guys like Matt Olson, who is just an absolute beast when he steps up to the plate. Ronald Acuna Jr., he always brings the firepower regardless of if he's on or off, because his outfield abilities are something truly to watch. But just seeing the guys, let's make some hits, let's get some runs. Charlie Culberson, who's a former Brave, always loves to say, if you're kind of hitting a lull when you step up to the plate, throw a couple bunts in there, switch it up, see what happens. So I'll be curious to see if they've got some maybe tricks up their sleeve offensively to kind of help bring these runs in, give Bryce Elder a little bit of padding on the mound. Hopefully that in case his knee isn't back to what it usually is.
Well, Emily, we could be chit-chatting about this all day, knowing that the Braves are heading into the final few games of their season. I appreciate you joining us. I know you're going to be out there all afternoon long, and I believe you're going to be joining us a little bit later here on Fox 5 News Live. Appreciate your time, and Emily, welcome back to the team.
Thanks, guys. I'm so excited.
Emily, thanks again. And as we come back into our newsroom, I want to take you to downtown Atlanta now. Let's take a live look inside the Georgia Aquarium. This is inside their Ocean Voyager gallery. Look at that. You can see all of the fish, also some of the sharks and the other mammals, the manta ray that is floating around there as well. And that is a 6.3 million gallon tank. I think it's the largest in the world, if I remember correctly. The Georgia Aquarium is great at a lot of things, and one of the things we're talking about, the reason I'm showing you this is to introduce you to this next story we're talking about, and there are 2 new beluga whales who now are calling the Georgia Aquarium home, part of an international effort to rehome dozens of whales from a closed marine park in Canada. And Maria Guzman is getting all the details. She talked with the folks at the Georgia Aquarium today. She joins us now live with what they had to say. I think it's great that the Georgia Aquarium is taking in these whales to be able to help rehome them after that was closed. But Maria, what did you find out?
Hey Tyler, yeah, I mean, this is a huge rescue effort, and I want to introduce you guys to Balor and Safer. So Balor is 10 years old and Safer is 7 years old. They're both beluga whales. Now, they've been calling the Georgia Aquarium home for the past 2 weeks because it's been almost 2 weeks since they've been rescued. And now, you know, this is a rescue mission because they were 2 of the 30 beluga whales that did face that they were going to be euthanized, and now they've been here, and I spoke to the trainers, I spoke to people at the aquarium, and they tell me how very shortly, just within about a day of them arriving, they had a positive behavior in the aquarium. So let's go ahead and take a listen on how they're doing 2 weeks in.
Right now we have our group of 6 beluga whales, and this includes our 2 newest addition, which is Balor, our 10-year-old male, and Zephyr, our 7-year-old male. About 2 weeks ago, we were able to go up to Canada to work on this beluga whale rescue, and we were able to bring our 2 whales, a 7-year-old Zephyr and 10-year-old Balor, to Georgia Aquarium. That was a very involved process. It required them to be loaded into a stretcher, lifted out of the water, put into a transport unit, which is just a little larger than them, and then it went onto a truck, onto a plane, then they landed here and arrived, and so now they've joined the rest of our ladies. The 2 weeks have been going really, really well. You can see that they've already integrated. They're swimming around here with the 4 whales that we had here prior. They are becoming very closely united, which is really, really great. We're seeing them interact with one another, so they're settling into the pod really well. When they first arrived here, we actually had them separated from the current population. That way we could monitor their behavior and make sure that they were nice and calm. That very first day, they started interacting with enrichment, which is what we call toys. They were playing with things, and then they started eating on that first day, so that was great. We did have overnight observations on them throughout the entire time, and we did see them going over to the gates and interacting with the females on the other side, and so the next morning we opted, because we saw those positive behaviors, to go ahead and open up the gates and see them interact with one another. Their behavior was determining what we were going to do and when we were going to mix them, but they were showing really, really positive behavior right from the get-go, and so we opted to fast-track that and move forward with integrating them together. One thing about beluga whales, like all other animals, is that every single individual has their own unique personality. Every single one is different, so kind of think about your dogs and cats at home. Each one is different. They are all unique, and that's true with our 2 newest additions, Balor and Zephyr, as well. Balor is super gregarious. He's playful. He really loves to come over and get tongue scratches, likes to interact with the other females. And then Balor, was known for being a little bit shy, but we haven't seen that. He's pretty gregarious as well, coming over and interacting with trainers and the other whales really well.
Yes, and so again, 30 beluga whales have been part of this mission. Now 28 will be calling the U.S. home, and 2 will be going to Spain. Tyler.
Helping out. I know you're going to be joining us a little bit later. Appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you at 2 o'clock. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. We're back in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live. The time now is 1:31 on this Tuesday afternoon. I want to talk about this big trial that we have been following for weeks now, the Lindsay Clancy trial out of Massachusetts. She is the mother who's standing trial for killing her 3 children, and her fate will soon be in the hands of a jury as the trial nears closing arguments. And it comes one day after the defense moved for a mistrial after one witness's testimony. Caroline Elliott joins us now live from Massachusetts. And Caroline, I appreciate you joining us. Can you get us up to speed? What have we heard so far today? Caroline, can you hear me? We just had her a minute ago. I'm assuming we're having some technical difficulties. This happens time to time when we are dealing with live feeds for both IFB situations and also our camera shots. And it does appear that we have lost her. So we're going to see if we can connect with her again. We must have lost our IFB signal again. This happens from time to time as we're dealing with technology, but we're working to get a hold of her. Let's see if we can continue on here. And do we have her? We do not. So I'm going to go talk about a different trial, and this one is out of Las Vegas. It's the Tupac Shakur murder trial that is going on right now. Let's get you caught up on this one. So today is day 7 of the trial of Dwayne Davis, accused of orchestrating the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur in Vegas back in 1996. This is a live look inside the courtroom. That is someone who is testifying as we speak right now. On Monday, the trial began with a heated exchange between defense attorney Michael Sanft and Michael Dorsey, a documentarian who has worked as a consultant on Death Row Chronicles. While he was called to the witness stand, there is Dwayne Davis. He is the defendant. He is the one on trial. You're looking at him on your screen right now. Again, live pictures. They have multiple cameras inside the courtroom. And so Dwayne Davis did paid interviews for the project, according to prosecutors. And Dorsey said he took the information to Las Vegas Metro Police, kept a detective informed, and recorded audio from the interview. Aside from the recordings for the TV production, his lawyer pressed him on obviously a host of issues. We're obviously monitoring that one, and we'll bring you any updates as we get it. As we come back into the newsroom, I want to check in with our Jamison Moyer. She is up to date on all the trends, including what people are clicking on our website, fox5atlanta.com, and our Fox Local app. She joins us now live. Jamison, so glad you're here. What are people clicking on right now? What's trending right now on our website?
Hey, Tyler. So one of the big things that people are clicking on is a new development out of Fulton County. Reality TV personality Sydney Starr was denied bond Tuesday morning. She is following serious sexual assault charges involving a minor. Starr, whose legal name is Sydney Favors, was booked into the Fulton County Jail after being arrested on August 2nd at the Embassy Suites Hotel in Hapeville. The TV star faces charges including sodomy, sexual battery against a child under 16, and aggravated child molestation. In court this morning, investigators said that Favors admitted to having the juvenile in her hotel room. And while the defense pointed to Favors' lack of prior criminal history and local ties to Georgia, the judge ultimately sided with the state and the victim's family. Now, the 13-year-old victim's mother addressed the court directly, pleading with the judge to keep Favors behind bars and describing the severe emotional trauma that her son and family are now dealing with. And I believe we have some sound for everyone to listen to from the victim's mother this morning in court.
Since this happened, he has had emotional and psychological harm. It is profound. He is required to attend intensive therapy to begin the healing process for what was done to him. At this age, when he should feel safe, innocent, and protected.
Now, after hearing this, the judge ordered Favors to remain held without bond as the case moves forward in court. And of course, we will continue to update this story on our website at fox5atlanta.com and on air as new developments come in. Tyler?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people have been following this story for days now, and since this happened for over a week, we have been getting lots of people, I guess almost 2 or 3 weeks, we've been getting a lot of people in our TikTok chat talking about this, asking for updates, so glad we could stay on top of this one. Let's talk about this massive marijuana seizure, 1,800 pounds.
Yes, nearly a ton of marijuana was recovered by Georgia deputies, and now that sheriff of the sheriff's office that recovered this marijuana is sending a warning to state lawmakers. The Butts County Sheriff's Office intercepted 18,000 pounds of marijuana that originated from Sacramento, California. And Sheriff Gary Long says that about half of that shipment was bound for Atlanta, with the rest heading to Orlando. Sheriff Long points to the seizure as proof that legalizing marijuana doesn't wipe out the black market, arguing that illicit dealers will always undercut legal prices to dodge taxes and regulation. Long is now urging Georgia lawmakers to carefully study other states' regulatory struggles before making any major changes to the state law, and he's warning leaders to, quote, get it right the first time. Tyler?
And I mean, that is a lot of stuff right there. A lot of marijuana seized by deputies. Let's talk about that. Now, this petition to dissolve Mableton. This caught my attention.
Yeah, it seems Mableton has been in the news a lot recently. So it's the newest city in Georgia, and now it's already facing pushback to shut it down. A growing movement in Cobb County is asking state lawmakers to reconsider Mableton's cityhood. Resident Kimberly Houston launched an online petition calling on the Georgia General Assembly to explore a path toward dissolving the city of Mableton. The petition has already picked up more than 1,700 signatures. Supporters point to key concerns over potential tax increases and what they call an unnecessary duplication of services that are already covered by Cobb County. Now, while this petition itself will not dissolve the city, organizers plan to hand it directly to state lawmakers to spark official legislative action. Tyler, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, we'll have to wait and see how this unfolds. I mean, certainly one of those newer cities here in our area. The fact that there's now this petition, we know sometimes petitions go nowhere, but obviously the fact that they're trying to dissolve it is going to be interesting to watch, and I know we'll be keeping everyone up to date on it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jamison, thanks so much for the update on the stories that are trending right now on our website, fox5atlanta.com. And as we come back into the newsroom, I want to talk about that story that we were trying to talk about just a few minutes ago, and that's the Lindsay Clancy trial. We want to take you to Massachusetts now, where soon the case could be over, and that's because for weeks now, the trial has been underway and closing arguments are near. And so we could be learning Lindsay Clancy's fate soon. Let's check in with Caroline Elliott. She joins us now live in Massachusetts with all the details on this case. Caroline, thanks so much for being here. What have we heard so far today in terms of testimony?
Yeah, Tyler, well, like you said, this should be the final day of testimony in this trial. And so far today, we've heard from the prosecution's forensic psychologist who said, yes, he does think that Lindsay Clancy was suffering from depression and anxiety, but that is wildly different from postpartum psychosis. The defense, though, really pushing back on this, saying between her intrusive thoughts and also hearing voices, she was very clearly suffering from some kind of psychotic episode. But Tyler, ultimately, that's up to the jury to decide.
Well, and so yesterday we heard about this push for a mistrial. What was up with that, and what was the judge's response?
Yeah, well, Tyler, we have seen a lot of back and forth in this case, but one of the most heated moments came up yesterday when Lindsay Clancy's Catholic faith came up inside the courtroom. So the witness on the stand pointed to her Catholic upbringing and the meaning of mortal sin, saying that her expectation of, quote, going to be with God and being together in heaven with her kids was directly against her Catholic teaching. So the defense, Tyler, found this wildly inappropriate. We saw him immediately object. He then immediately also called for a mistrial in this case, which the judge did deny, but he did tell the jury that they'll have to completely ignore that part of the testimony.
Well, and speaking of, obviously, the defense, have we seen a lot of supporters of Lindsay Clancy in and out of the courtroom today?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Tyler. Throughout this entire case, we've seen up to 40 or 50 supporters of Lindsay Clancy, mostly women, coming up to support her, saying although they don't agree with what she did to her kids, they said collectively this shows that women need more support when they're postpartum. On the other hand, though, Tyler, we have seen other people show up to support the prosecution, saying the focus in this trial should not be on her. It should be on her kids.
Yeah, I can see both sides of the argument here, so it'll be interesting to see how all of this plays out. The jury obviously going to make the decision, and when the jury does make that decision, if she is found not criminally responsible for the deaths of her children, what happens? Do we know?
Yeah, Tyler. So we do know that, of course, the jury will soon have to decide if she goes to prison for murder or a psychiatric facility. And so the charges on the table right now are first-degree murder, and that would carry a mandatory sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole. So again, we'll have to see how jury deliberations go. But if that is a guilty verdict, if she is convicted of those charges, we do know, of course, she would likely go to prison, and the defense would very likely at least try to appeal in this case. Tyler.
Caroline Elliott in Massachusetts, thanks so much for the update on this story. The Lindsay Clancy trial, this has truly gripped a lot of people paying attention to it, watching what's been unfolding in court. Thanks so much for the update, Caroline. Appreciate it.
Yep, thanks.
And as we come back into the newsroom, the time now is 1:42 on this Tuesday afternoon. We still have a lot more ahead here on Fox 5 News Live at 1. We're back in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Fox 5 News Live on this Tuesday afternoon. The time now is 1:45. We want to talk about this next story. An Atlanta area volunteer is being honored today for his work fighting food insecurity and helping children in need. Our Eli Jordan joins us now live with all the details and more on the work behind the honor.
Hey, good afternoon, Tyler. Yes, Alan Joseph came here to the Atlanta Community Food Bank for an honoring today. Now, Alan Johnson, he volunteers. He has the Abundance Kitchen, which he battles hunger over in India, and he serves about 45 communities over there, and has reached about 8,000 to 10,000 kids. But today he was honored by Points of Light. Points of Light, a nonprofit founded about 35 years ago under George Herbert Walker Bush, and they honor somebody each and every day. Now, Alan Joseph was number 8,398, and we got a little video of that presentation this morning. And now, like I said, they honored somebody each and every day, and today was Alan Joseph's day to get the honor. And like I said, he reaches out to over in India, the communities that are struggling over in India, helping out the kids there, and he's hoping to expand. But I spoke to the president and CEO and also Alan Joseph, and here's what they had to say.
Points of Light is the world's largest network of volunteer action centers, and we're here today in Atlanta to help honor one of the amazing volunteers in the Atlanta community. At Points of Light, we have a national recognition called the Daily Point of Light Award for extraordinary people who make an impact through their volunteer service. And Alwyn Joseph is an amazing example of that through his work in India with Abundance Kitchen. So I'm really honored to be here in Atlanta today. We have so many amazing volunteers in Atlanta. Alwyn is a great example.
We specifically focus on kids from low-income communities. We have reached around 45 communities actively on a daily basis, weekly basis. It's completely volunteer run program, and yeah, we've been able to I think by and large at least 8,000 to 10,000 kids. It's not at a scale that I would like to. I would like, as I mentioned, I would like to get to 500,000 meals a day. That's the vision. But I think the primary driver is, I mean, these kids are just like any kids who has a lot of potential, but lack the ecosystem when it comes to food, clothing, or dignified livelihood for them to get to that life where they can thrive. So the primary objective is to enable that for them to as many people as possible.
Now, Alan Joseph has been helping combat hunger over in Tamil Nadu, India, and for the past 5 years he's been doing that right after COVID happened, the lockdowns and everything, and he's been funding this all himself, just solo, and he's got about 50 volunteers over in India hitting those 45 communities. But as he said, he wants to expand it, have about 1 million meals a day. But if you're interested in more about the Abundance Kitchen, you can go to theabundancekitchen.com. Again, that's theabundancekitchen.com. You can get more information, and he's about to really go online and expand his nonprofit, and we'll probably be seeing a lot more of Alwyn Joseph and the Abundance Kitchen here in Atlanta. Tyler, back to you.
It's so nice that they pay tribute to these people who are doing good work in our community, and the fact that they honor people every single day, where a lot of people don't even do this for the honor or being recognized. They do this because they want to help. It's just nice, though, that they're able to recognize these people who are doing good work in our community. Eli Jordan, thanks so much for joining us and spotlighting this person and also the work of the organization that they are doing. Eli Jordan, thanks again. We'll check in with you a little bit later.
Thank you.
And I want to get you caught up on some of the stories that we're following that truly are wild. And this one is wild for two reasons, because one involves a wild animal and the other, it is just wild that it happened. Someone training for a triathlon in the Augusta area was bitten by an alligator. So I want to tell you about this. He was attacked by an alligator in Augusta over the weekend. Jonathan Bruni was training with other triathletes Sunday morning in the Savannah River when the attack happened about 1,000 yards into the swim. He said suddenly a jolt on his right arm changed everything. Bruni is a North Carolina resident now, but has lived in Augusta and felt he took precautions to stay safe, and he immediately told the other swimmers to get to shore. North Augusta Public Safety says the group used a swim buoy to stop the bleeding.
And when I was swimming, my right arm must have gotten really close or punched him in the side. He reacted, turned to his left, and then hit my tricep area. So my first thought, just like I've heard about doing to a shark, is to grab the eyes. So pushed my hand in the water, reached up the snout, and then just squeezed his left eyeball. He released my arm.
Well, I don't know if I would have had the composure to think about any of that at that moment, to be like, squeeze its left eyeball, reach into its snout. That is absolutely crazy. The wound was about 4 to 5 inches long. You saw it a second ago on video. He says the bite was about 1 millimeter from going into his tricep muscles. Now he's expected to stay out of the water for several weeks. But get this. He still plans to compete in the Augusta 70.3 Ironman next month. That is some dedication to get bitten by an alligator and still willing to do what you love, which is compete in a triathlon. So good luck to him. Glad he's doing all right. Truly a wild story he now gets to tell about his training for that triathlon. Let's talk about this next story, and it's involving LinkedIn. I would love your thoughts if you're joining us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. I'll look for the comments here. Most people use LinkedIn to make a connection or look for a job. And by connection, connecting with like colleagues, not connection for like a date or anything like that. But what about using it for dating? Apparently, the site says 1 in 4 professionals believe using LinkedIn as a dating tool is acceptable. 22% have either reached out or responded to someone on LinkedIn with romantic intent. Users say LinkedIn is a public-facing platform with clear headshots and plenty of information about a person's life path, which dating apps lack. Okay. I don't know if until this moment I ever would consider opening my LinkedIn and looking for people on there, trying to connect with them to try to find a date. But if people are doing that, I guess more power to them. We know there are a bunch of apps out there all targeting different folks. So certainly interesting that people are, I guess, using LinkedIn, which normally is that, again, connecting with a colleague, connecting with someone in a job-facing role type of thing, to use it for a date. Certainly interesting. And I guess if that is what people are doing, more power to them. I want to talk about this next story. A local husband and wife duo has taken a popular toddler toy and transformed it into a team-building activity you will never forget. Our Paul Milliken checks it out.
Oh, the game is on, people. The game is on. If you were watching Good Day Atlanta, you know we spent the morning with the team from Adult Big Wheel Club. Yes, it is a real thing. It's a corporate team-building organization that puts adults on big wheels, and you can imagine how it goes from there. The idea is not racing. It really is team building, and there's a challenge going on right now, and you can see folks on their big wheels moving behind me. So let me explain the challenge. Kind of a relay. There are 2 teams of 4 people, and each one has to come around and do a lap holding a cup of water, and then they have to take the water and dump it in this little tube over here. They're trying to fill the tube. The problem is the water cups they're using have holes in them, so they're losing. So there we go. Pouring that in. It's almost filled. As you can see, it's almost filled, and it's really a neck-and-neck race right now between the 2 different teams. So the cups have holes. They are leaking water as they're doing laps around. It is really fun. This is an example of the kind of thing they would do for a fundraising challenge. But again, the corporate team building is really a big deal. They've been going all over the country doing this for big and smaller groups as well, putting people on big wheels, and they say the big pillars are memory and communication, teamwork. It is really trying to create a bonding experience between corporate groups. So if that might be you, if you have one of those groups, this might be the thing for you. Okay, let's do a little quick update on the race. Here we go. Blue team right now filling up the tube. Oh, it's really close. I think one more cup is going to do it. Red team, though, is not far behind. There's red team, and we've lost a cup and we've lost shoes. We've lost a cup. This is so exciting, you guys. This is sports in action. All right, it's like being at a NASCAR race. Look at them going. They are booking it back there. I mean, booking it. This is so exciting. Let's see. Gonna cross, I think, one more lap, and they might. In fact, blue team did it. Okay, now as long as blue team can get around and finish first, blue team is going to win. So as you see right here, they have filled. Marta's excited, one of the founders, along with her husband Danny. Blue has filled it. So once blue crosses the finish line, guys, we're doing this right now in front of a camera. Blue team. has won. I'm out of breath. Can you tell how exciting that was for everybody involved? And the winners, by the way, of the challenge are going to end up with a beautiful trophy like that. So again, this is Adult Big Wheel Club. I guarantee you've never seen anything like it before. There it is right behind me, some of the big wheels in place. You can find more information about them online. I'm out of breath. I got to take a break.
Paul, thanks so much. And guys, thanks so much for joining us for Fox 5 News Live at 1 o'clock. I'm Tyler Fingert. I'm so glad you've been here for the last hour as we talked about all of the top headlines we're following, also the weather and everything in between. I appreciate your time. Don't go anywhere, though. At the top of the hour, Ariel Onstott will be joining you for Fox 5 News Live at 2. Make it a great day.
Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being live with us at 2 o'clock on your Tuesday afternoon. I want to get to some sad news. Breaking news. We're learning that Dolly Parton, country music icon, philanthropist, is dead at 80 years old. I want to talk you through what we are learning here so far. She just 4 days ago had said she still has so many things she wants to achieve. We've seen her in numerous movies. She's stolen so many hearts as a beloved philanthropist and person who's given so much to the people of Tennessee and beyond. Our entertainment correspondent, Paul Milliken's over here miking up, getting ready to join me at the desk to talk through this conversation. But her career truly spanned decades. It included Grammy wins, film roles, and later in life, a musical inspired with her life titled Dolly. She was preceded in death by her husband of more than nearly 60 years, Carl Thomas Dean, who died March of 2025. And we understand that her nephew, Brian Seaver, revealed the news in an Instagram video, talking a little bit about what they were willing to share regarding her death. And Paul is just now joining us here at the streaming desk. So I'd like to come back out while we watch this video of Dolly. Paul, just truly shocking.
Yeah, some really hard news to hear. I mean, you talk about somebody who everybody loves. We say that over and over, but it's so true. And this is really heartbreaking news. I'm just pulling up Instagram right now to see what was written there. And this, you know, I mean, this sort of tracks with what we've been hearing. I mean, it's been a couple of months now that we knew that Dolly Parton was having health issues.
Yes.
And the one thing I'll say about Dolly Parton is she, as open as she was with her fans, she also let people know what she wanted them to know. And the health problems were really kept close to her vest. She really didn't talk a lot about what was going on behind the scenes. We knew there were things going on, but we don't know what exactly they were. So I think we'll hear a lot more information coming out on what maybe she's been going through for a while. But again, I mean, just heartbreaking news to hear, not totally unexpected, but so sad at 80 years old. And talk about somebody, not just a trailblazer, but somebody with so many Georgia ties too. She was really involved in her own community in Tennessee, and that bled down into Georgia. I had the opportunity to interview her probably 6 or 7 times over the years. She loved Georgia. She loved the South. She was married in Ringgold, Georgia, so she knew the area very well. Came to Atlanta to do a lot of filming, too. A couple of years ago, she did a Netflix series called Heartstrings, and they filmed it here in Atlanta. Had a big premiere up at Dollywood. We got to go up and spend some time with the cast and crew there, but she really loved our area and loved her hometown. That cannot be overstated enough, and I think you'll be hearing more and more about it in the next few days. The support she showed for the Great Smoky Mountains, for Sevierville, Tennessee, she loved that community, and she was there to do anything for that community.
Truly, Paul, because anytime a disaster would strike, something would happen, people would joke, Dolly Parton was more hands-on than FEMA.
She was there.
More than state leaders.
Yes, absolutely.
And one thing, you know, that I want to point out is, to your point about her sharing what she wanted her fans to know.
Right.
Her husband went through his own health struggles, and she had said she spent so much time devoted to him and what he was going through that maybe she didn't pay as much attention to herself. And that was a struggle.
Yeah, I'm sitting here. I just pulled up that Instagram message that was posted. Already got 169,000 responses. Yeah, and there it is playing right now. Again, not completely unexpected news, but what a legacy she leaves behind. And I think that's what the focus will be on in the coming weeks, is that this is somebody who really gave back to the community and really shaped pop culture too. You think about her early career where she was in doing country music with Porter Wagner. Then she went solo, and both as a singer and a songwriter and a really astute business person too. She really left a mark on every entertainer to come after her. You talk about somebody now like a Taylor Swift who's taken such control of her finances and her music. That's something Dolly Parton was doing from the beginning. She talks often about her song I Will Always Love You, of course, one of the greatest songs of all time, that Elvis Presley wanted to record that song, and he would only record it if she would give over the publishing rights to him. And she said, look, as much as I want you to sing this song, I need to keep my own publishing rights. That was way ahead of its time that she did that. And thank goodness she did, because when Whitney Houston recorded it, boy, did she get her flowers and her money off of that recording. So it was a great business decision.
And it's amazing, too, what a family woman Dolly was. I mean, 11 siblings. She talked about her humble beginnings, and just where she started. Her family did not have a lot of money, and then to rise to the level of success that she had, but always so humble, always just so you would not take her for someone who had all these accolades because it wasn't what she prioritized.
Yeah, and the amazing thing is, if you go to Dollywood or spend time in Pigeon Forge, her family is everywhere. I mean, they're all there, and particularly at Dollywood, you know, her siblings sing there, her nieces and nephews do. They all have jobs there at Dollywood, and they're all sort of carrying on her legacy in that way. And her family was really, really tight, as you were saying. I mean, it was several siblings. They grew up really in poverty and in a very small environment, you know, and ended up just achieving incredible things. But I think that bond stayed with them through Dolly's entire life, and to see her with family whenever we were there at Dollywood and she would see her family members there, she was just so thrilled. And she treated so many of the employees of Dollywood like family too. That was something that was really cool. When we were up there for the premiere of Heartstrings a few years ago, her Dollywood employees got to walk the red carpet. She wanted them to have that moment to walk on the red carpet and to get to see their own family and friends and have a moment in the spotlight. And that just speaks to the kind of person, again, that she really is. Just a wonderful legacy that she leaves behind. Music, movies, fashion, business. Again, Dollywood will go on forever. People love Dollywood. It's so fun. Yeah.
Paul, we have the video of the announcement, so let's listen to her nephew speak in that Instagram video. And I just want to thank you for coming up to the desk and for weighing in. I know you have so much expertise covering.
Yeah, she was a wonderful person to interview. And one final memory, I'll say this, the first time that we interviewed her, she was one of those persons, she walked in the room and shook the hand of and introduced herself to every crew member in the room. She didn't need to do that.
No.
Everybody knew who she was. We were just there to enjoy the experience, but she went around the room and said, "Hello, I'm Dolly Parton," shook everybody's hand. I think that really speaks to her character.
A lesson there, Paul.
For sure. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Good to see you.
All right, let's take a listen to this video.
Hey everyone, my name is Brian Seaver, son of Cassie Parton, and I'm representing the Parton and Owens family today, announcing the passing of my Aunt Dolly Rebecca Parton Dean, sister, sis, Aunt Granny to one generation and Gigi to the next. This video announcement is something Dolly asked of me years ago, before I fully absorbed it as a future reality. As her head of security for more than 2 decades, a role my father Larry held before me, I have imagined the heaviness of this moment, but haven't truly felt it until now. It is an honor that is mixed with absolute pride and great sadness. But sadness lies with us, not with Dolly. Dolly has lived in the light and is in the arms of Jesus, surely met by Carl, her parents, and countless others who have watched her and longed for her to meet them in the heavens. I first went on the road with Dolly as a kid, getting a taste of the road life in the early 1980s. Dolly opened doors not just for me, but for her entire family to reach the potential we didn't even know was possible. Dolly also opened doors for generations of singers, songwriters, musicians, and dreamers from every walk of life and across every continent. By her example, we believed that anything was possible. She never saw a door she couldn't open, and the doors she opened made and changed history. My family and I have shared a lifetime of beautiful memories with Dolly, but so have you. She has always been on your television, your record player, your CD, and on your phone playlist, becoming an extended part of your family whether you liked it or not. Our family and the team she has entrusted with her legacy will work diligently to ensure her spirit will live with us forever. Dolly was a farmer, just like her daddy. He farmed the soil, she farmed songs and happiness. Dolly called me and said she wants to rest in a beautiful bed of plush cotton because after a life wearing heavy rhinestones, she finally deserves to be comfortable and have some rest. Rest in peace, Aunt Dolly, Aunt Granny, Gigi. May God bless Dolly Parton, and may God bless you all. She will always love you.
Tribute to Dolly Parton from her nephew as they share the news on social media. You guys are pouring in with tributes here on TikTok, YouTube. I have Marin here saying, rest in peace, Dolly. May your wings bedazzle dazzle with stardust. I know that she touched so many of your lives, and we will be remembering her for the days to come for sure. As we continue here at 2 o'clock, it's time to move on to some news that we're covering in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. I want to continue because we're learning new details regarding that deadly stabbing on the Beltline over the weekend. Our Annie Mapp has been getting body camera footage from Atlanta police in this incident, and I understand that the suspect's family has released a statement, Annie, calling for lawmakers to take action. What can you share with us this afternoon?
Hi, Ariel. Good afternoon. First, we received that body camera footage today from the Atlanta Police Department, and they also released the 911 call where you hear a caller frantic asking for police help as 29-year-old Raymond Harris had been stabbed and the suspect was still out here on the loose. Again, this all happened Sunday afternoon around 4 o'clock. A crowd of people just trying to help that victim during this situation. In that body camera footage, we're able to see as a deputy, or as an Atlanta police officer, I should say, gets out of the vehicle and gets that suspect to put his hands behind his back and then ultimately arrest him. We also received a statement now from the family of 54-year-old Jonathan Hamby. They are apologizing to the community, to everyone who was out on the Beltline, and they are calling for changes to Georgia's mental health laws. The family says they had repeatedly tried to get help for the suspect before this crime even happened. They say their loved one has severe mental illness and a history of repeated arrests. Remember, we told you he had been arrested at least 30 times. They say they warned the courts about his behavior and asked for stronger intervention. The family points to a previous incident involving a weapon at a Chamblee Elementary School as one of several warning signs. I am actually checking on that incident because we don't see any reports of that, however. And they also say the current system relies too heavily on short jail stays without providing long-term psychiatric care. They feel like that is something that Hamby needs instead of being put in the jail cell and then later released. They think that he needs serious intervention and should not be out roaming the streets freely. They also don't understand how he had weapons. Again, in the video that we showed you guys yesterday, he had 2 knives when he committed this crime. Now, today we were also able to learn a little bit more about the victim. Again, that is 29-year-old Raymond Harris. His friends tell us that he moved to Georgia several years ago by himself. His loved ones are in Arizona and I think also in Ohio. So most of the people, most of his community here were just close friends that he had. They say that he spent many years just making jewelry and selling jewelry around Little 5 Points. And I spoke to one woman who says she taught him everything that she knows. Take a listen to what she said.
He was one of my teachers, and definitely great to rub shoulders and just share knowledge and love and just be a genuine person to see throughout the day because it's hard.
And a celebration of life has been scheduled for the victim, Raymond Harris, on Saturday afternoon at Freedom Park. Ariel?
A tragic story. Glad that you were able to share more details, let the community know how they can pay their respects or get involved if they wish. I found it so interesting in the statement released by the suspect's family that they're calling for lawmakers to take action. It'll be something to monitor to see if we're able to get any traction in that regard, to see what happens. No doubt family members who deal with a loved one who has a severe mental illness know what it's like to try to get help and navigate that. So, Annie Mapp, thank you so much for joining us live with these updates. We will see you again later this evening. As we continue here at 3 o'clock, you guys, let's talk about a situation unfolding in DeKalb County. We understand that DeKalb County commissioners are deferring action on an urban camping ordinance. Now, critics have said that this law or proposed measure would target homeless people. Critics, or rather supporters, on the other hand, have discussed why they feel it might be necessary. So our Ray Urena is joining us live with the conversation now. And Ray, I understand that ultimately commissioners decided to defer this. What can you share with us?
Yeah, that deferral's for 30 days, Ariel. So they're going to be discussing this again in the Board of Commission on September the 29th. But to understand how we got here, I got to take you back about 2 years ago, because that's when the Supreme Court, the U.S. Supreme Court, released a decision in Grants Pass, Oregon versus Johnson that allows local governments to be able to enforce public camping bans and to ticket people who are sleeping outside. That's the catalyst for this. And ever since then, you have cities across across the Southeast have tried to create similar ordinances in that result. Now, I do want to read this proposed ordinance from DeKalb County that they were talking about. It says, by law, it says if it was passed, it should be unlawful for any person to camp in a manner which interferes with entering or exiting or obstructs public property. And it does have a warning saying that no person shall be arrested for violation without having received an oral or written warning and a verbal offer of services, including but not limited to transportation, shelter, or agency referral to stop this quote-unquote unlawful conduct. That's what this ordinance reads right now that I'm reading to you, and this is what DeKalb County commissioners were discussing about. We've heard from some people in there. There were homeless coalition supporters. They were inside wearing yellow shirts that says support unhoused neighbors, and then there were also supporters wearing red scarves as the commissioners discussed this. We did hear from both sides of this issue here from the commission not too long ago. Here's a snippet of what they had to say.
We have to address this concern. We don't want what happened in Atlanta to unfortunately happen to another person, and we want to be in compliance with what's being requested and mandated, to be quite frank, from HB 295. This is affording our officers to use discretion as they do always. Thank you.
The main thing I think is that we don't have any SOPs, standard operating procedures, from the DeKalb County Police Department as of yet on how they would address enforcing this ordinance. And so that's really important. The Board of Commissioners shouldn't be passing laws if we don't know what the impacts and the effects are going to be. So what I'm going to be looking for is how are we expanding our outreach teams? How are we expanding support through the
Yeah, and you just heard HB 295 being mentioned there by Commissioner Nicole Messiah. I want to read a little bit about that because for people who aren't aware, this is a Georgia law that allows for property owners to make claims for compensation from local governments for loss of property value or expenses incurred due to local government's failure to comply with the non-enforcement of certain laws, ordinances, or resolutions. And it says in this ordinance that declining to enforce existing laws, ordinances, or other legislation prohibiting illegal public camping is a violation of that state law that has been signed by the governor this year. So that's one of the avenues that the supporters have been trying to enforce when it comes to this public camping ordinance. Other ones, like you heard, like Commissioner Ted Terry say, he doesn't believe that the jail has enough resources to be able to hold all these people and criminalize these people who may be down their luck or refusing these services. So still a heated conversation. It took about 45 minutes for commissioners to decide, to debate before they ultimately unanimously deferred this for 30 days. Ariel?
Ray, thanks so much for the update. This is something we'll continue to keep an eye on. I understand that when Commissioner Nicole Messiah was talking about how they didn't want what happened in Atlanta to happen in DeKalb County, I'm guessing she was speaking about the incident that happened at the homeless encampment where a man ultimately died. And they were saying they don't want that to repeat itself.
Yeah, that's exactly what she was referring to. She was referring to Cornelius Taylor being killed in the Sweet Auburn community during a homeless encampment suite, which we have reported in the past here on Fox 5 that there have been regulation changes and changes in Atlanta because of that whole ordeal. So that is definitely what she was referring to.
Ray, thanks so much for the update, joining us live for the conversation. I appreciate you. We will see you again later this evening. I'll let you get back to gathering information as you work on your story for this evening. Let's continue here because I want to tell you guys about nearly a ton, that's correct, nearly a ton of marijuana that was seized in Butts County. So much that they had to use a forklift to get it off of the back of the truck. As you can see, the Butts County Sheriff says 1,800 pounds of marijuana was intercepted in a shipment that originated in California and was headed to destinations in Georgia and Florida. Sheriff Gary Long says half the marijuana was destined for Atlanta while the other half was headed to Orlando. The shipment originated in Sacramento, where recreational marijuana is legal. The sheriff's office did not provide details in its news release about where or how the marijuana was intercepted, whether anyone was arrested, or what charges could be filed. But Long used used the large seizure to make a broader argument about the debate over marijuana in Georgia. And basically, he contended that legal markets in other states have not eliminated illegal marijuana sales. So he argues that criminal organizations can sell marijuana more cheaply because they do not face the taxes, licensing fees, testing requirements, and other costs imposed on legal businesses where marijuana is legal to buy recreationally. Now, the sheriff also said Mexican drug trafficking organizations and other criminal groups continue moving marijuana across state lines, but he did not say whether Tuesday's shipment had been linked to any particular organization. I also want to let you guys know that reality TV star Sydney Starr has been denied bond in a child sexual assault case. The TV personality Sydney Starr was denied bond after an arrest earlier this month on sexual assault charges involving a child. Now, an investigator detailed the allegations against Starr in court today. Keep in mind, Sydney Favors is the legal name of Sydney Starr. So if you hear me say Favors, I'm referring to Sydney Starr. An investigator says that when Hapeville detectives arrived at the Embassy Suites hotels on August 2nd and spoke with Favors, Favors claimed that she engaged in sexual conduct with a person identified as Larry. The investigator said that Larry was a juvenile child who then exited the room afterward. The unidentified juvenile identified Favors, the investigator said, and Favors admitted to police that the juvenile had gone into the elevator with them and went into their room, and after admitting this, Favors was detained. Favors' defense argues that the general good nature and family ties in Georgia made her no significant flight risk, but the judge acknowledged that Favors has no prior criminal history. The victim's mother spoke to the judge in court, asking the judge to deny bond after the alleged sexual assault happened with her son. She says her son is just 13 years old and wanted the judge to deny that bond to Favors. So we'll continue to keep you updated as this moves through. There has been a lot of interest in this online. Keep in mind, Favors' charges include sodomy, sexual battery against a child under 16, and aggravated child molestation. So we will continue to keep you updated on this. Coming up next, I want to get a check of your weather forecast with meteorologist Marquise Mita. We're going to check in on storm chances for your week and where our temperatures are headed coming up. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad here with meteorologist Marquise Mita. Marquise, thanks so much for being with us. Where is the weather headed this week? We're at Tuesday, so still quite a ways to go. I have to say, we've seen these like pale blue skies that feel like it should be cool outside, but then you step outside and you're like, we're not there yet.
See, looks can be deceiving. You know how when you're driving, they say objects in mirror may be closer than they appear?
Yeah.
Yeah, objects out your window may be warmer than they appear, right?
I like that.
Back in the low 90s today. Did take us some time to get there. 90 degrees on the dot here in Atlanta. But what everyone's loving in the forecast so far has been the low humidity to start off the work week, right? Pretty refreshing to see there. 35% for your relative humidity value, and that's because dew points are all the way down in the upper 50s. Now, you mentioned which direction that forecast is heading. Well, wetter weather is just around the corner, so soak up the dry weather while you still can. 90, not just in Atlanta, but you match that in Covington, Griffin as well, 93 all the way out towards the east in Eatonton, and temperatures still have another opportunity to rise an extra degree before the day is said and done. So what we're dealing with are temperatures that should peak in the low 90s today under these mostly clear conditions. Highs should be right around 94 in Covington, 95 in Eatonton. It looks like you're a little bit cooler up towards the North Blairsville. Your high will be 87 degrees for today. Temps drop back into the low 70s or the upper 60s. So nice to start off the morning tomorrow, but Wednesday being hump day, it's kind of our pivot point in the forecast in which we'll pivot towards more wetter weather. A warm front's going to lift from the south. It's not going to do much in regard to increasing your temperatures, but we'll be dealing with a different air mass. A little bit of that Gulf Coast moisture will be heading our way in the afternoon on Wednesday as temperatures are back in the lower 90s, and then we'll be cooling down Thursday and Friday. Thick clouds overhead Thursday morning. By Thursday afternoon, you'll likely hear that rumble of thunder as the next front does move in from the west and the north. So Thursday, we show a 50% coverage of showers and storms. Friday, that jumps to 70%, so the rain is certainly on its way. As far as how much rain we'll likely receive, well, by the time Saturday is said and done and we're out the door on Sunday in the afternoon, we could reel in about 1 inch to 1.25 inches out towards north and western Georgia, maybe just a hair below 1 inch here in Atlanta. Regardless, though, we'll carry the chance for some wet weather into the weekend as well. Storm chances won't be as strong, but we'll still see that 20 to 30% coverage as temperatures will be moving in the opposite direction. So rain coverage going down this weekend, temps moving back up to the lower 90s, and we'll carry that trend into your work week as well.
Good to know, Marquise. You know, I have to say, I hoped that we would get rain this week because some things have been a little dry, and selfishly, my car was dirty. But then I thought to myself, I checked our weather app and I said, you know what, into the car wash I go, because this tree sap on the cars in these summer months.
Well, here's the thing, like you'll get your car washed in Georgia, the next thing you know, it's turning green with the pollen that very next day. So yeah.
You can't win. There's like a few months where the car's going to look good, and that's it. Marquise, thanks as always for keeping us updated. All right, guys, let's get out. I want to talk about a petition in Mableton that's seeking to dissolve the city of Mableton. Yeah, you heard that right. A Mableton resident has launched a petition calling on Georgia lawmakers to explore legislation that could dissolve the city. Organizer Kimberly Houston cites concerns including potential tax increases and duplication of services already provided by Cobb County. The Change.org petition has collected more than 1,700 signatures. And keep in mind, Mableton is Georgia's newest city, and it's already being talked about whether it should be dissolved. The effort comes amid debate over the city's future and renewed controversy over property taxes. So we're going to continue to keep you updated on this as it moves forward. I also do want to let you know, because we talked about it extensively yesterday, a woman from Florida who came here to Georgia looking for love has been found, according to her family. This is Catrice Simmons. She's 59 years old, and according to her family, moved from Pensacola, Florida, here to the Georgia area in April after an online relationship became serious. She loaded up her U-Haul with belongings and had not been heard from since May, but now her family says they have been able to locate her. So as we get any new details, we'll let you know. We have not heard from her family as to where she has been found, just that she has been safely located. Let's talk about these tariffs that have affected Canada and and the United States and the goods that are going to be now under tariff, because Canada is announcing that it's going to strike back against the United States with retaliatory tariffs as this trade war escalates between the United States and Canada. Finance Minister for Canada announced today that it's going to impose counter tariffs on $20 billion of U.S. goods after the Trump administration imposed 50% tariffs on Canadian goods. Trade negotiations collapsed over the weekend, and Canadian officials say they did not choose this conflict. Take a listen.
On August 22nd, the United States of America imposed tariffs on 50% on approximately $28 billion in Canadian goods. Those tariffs will have real consequences for Canadian workers, businesses, and communities across our nation. Canada must respond, and today we are, in a proportionate, targeted, and strategic way. Today I'm announcing that Canada will match the United States tariffs dollar for dollar, rate for rate. Effective September 8, Canada will impose counter tariffs of up to 15, 25, or 50% on $27.6 billion in imports from the United States of America. For each product, our tariff would match the American tariff on the same type of Canadian good. Canada's counter tariffs are designed primarily to provide protection for Canadian industry impacted by U.S. tariffs and allow them to compete against U.S. products in the Canadian market. It's all about fairness, it's all about level playing field, it's all about supporting Canadian workers and Canadian businesses.
Now keep in mind, the new tariffs extend beyond industrial goods. They're going to hit everyday purchases, including dairy products, clothing, and cosmetics. And it is likely we will start to see prices increase here shortly on goods coming from Canada. Let's talk about the latest regarding the president's immigration crackdown, because President Trump is ramping up this new operation ahead of the midterm elections. We understand 400 criminals are among 1,300 immigrants arrested in a 2-week sting by ICE, part of a new immigration push by the president, and it's now making history, this push. Let's talk about why. This 2-week sting, called Operation Safe Community, led to more than 1,300 arrests, and about 400 of those had pending or active criminal charges. The operation centered on the D.C. suburbs, where some anti-ICE policies have drawn criticism for possibly shielding criminals, which has led to greater calls for cooperation between ICE and local police from the Trump administration. Now, it comes as Democrats are increasing their criticisms of the president's immigration policies also ahead of the midterm elections, saying that ICE and Customs and Border Patrol have been acting as the judge, jury, prosecutor, and in some cases executioner. But the Trump administration says it's not backing down. At the same time, the administration reportedly planned to crack down on asylum seekers with the biggest mass visa revocation in American history. Up to 200,000 visa holders could be affected. Most of those are now working in the United States legally. The State Department is expected to announce in the next few weeks the revocation of B1 and B2 visas issued between 2016 and 2026. Now, keep in mind, this would affect those who have sought asylum or are seeking asylum. If this is not revised or challenged, it would be the largest mass visa revocation in United States history. State Department spokesperson Tommy Pigot says the amount of visas that will be revoked is, quote, dynamic and will be done on a rolling basis. The White House is also cracking down on so-called birth tourism, with almost 900 visas revoked so far. Coming up, you guys, I want to check in on a story that we're following here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. You may have heard the news that a group of beluga whales needed to be rescued, and 2 of them have been by the Georgia Aquarium. We're going to meet those beluga whales with our Maria Guzman coming up. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstad. Thanks so much for being live with us on your Tuesday afternoon. If you're just getting on this live stream with us, we are covering the latest regarding Dolly Parton's death at 80 years old, an icon, a philanthropist, a human being we will not soon forget. We talked about this extensively at the top of 2 o'clock, but if you're just joining us, that has been a part of the conversation this afternoon. Another aspect of the conversation has been the Georgia Aquarium helping to rescue 2 male beluga whales. Our Maria Guzman went out to the aquarium to get acquainted with these incredible creatures and joins us live outside. Maria, what are the names of these whales, and how is the aquarium working to keep them safe?
Ariel, yeah, so they are named Valor, who is 10 years old, and Zephyr, who is 7 years old. Now, they've been calling the Georgia Aquarium home now for about 2 weeks. It's been 2 weeks since they were rescued from Canada, and I spoke to leaders at the aquarium. They tell me that they've been able to really train them, and I actually got to see one of those training sessions. But they told me that very early on, within a day of the belugas arriving to the aquarium, they were having a positive experience and reaction to meeting the other belugas. But let's go ahead and take a listen on how they got here to Georgia from Canada.
So this has been a gargantuan effort amongst multiple governments. In 2024, there was a facility in Ontario, Canada, that closed its doors, and they no longer had the financial means to provide care for these whales. And they were worried if they were not able to find homes for them, that those whales would have to be euthanized. Fortunately, the Canadian government worked with both the U.S. government and the Spanish government to be able to relocate those in this gargantuan rescue effort. And so of those, 28 of those whales are going to be coming to accredited institutions in the United States, and 2 of them are going to an accredited institution in Spain. So this is a rescue effort because there was the call to action from the facility in Canada. They were no longer able to provide care for them, and so as a result, they were going to have to euthanize those whales. They could not find any homes for them within Canada, and so if it wasn't for the accredited institutions in the United States and Spain being willing to take those animals on, those animals would have been euthanized. When they first arrived here, we actually had them separated from the current population. That way we could monitor their behavior and make sure that they were nice and calm. That very first day, they started interacting with enrichment, which is what we call toys. They were playing with things, and then they started eating on that first day, so that was great. We did have overnight observations on them throughout the entire time, and we did see them going over to the gates and interacting with the females on the other side, and so the next morning we opted, because we saw those positive behaviors, to go ahead and open up the gates and see them interact with one another. Their behavior was determining what we were going to do and when we were going to mix them, but they were showing really, really positive behavior right from the get-go, and so we opted to fast-track that and move forward with integrating them together. That's not necessarily surprising. Belugas are very dynamic and they're very social, and so they have a desire to want to be with other whales, and they knew each other from before, so they were calm together. So we were just kind of going off of them. If they seemed like they weren't ready to be mixed, we wouldn't have done so, but they showed calm behavior, and that really helps pave the way for the integration.
Yes, and the belugas are in their assigned habitat, which means that visitors can officially see them through the public window. Ariel.
Maria, that these whales are finally there for us to come see with our own eyes. Our Georgia Aquarium is an incredible institution that's able to really help different animals, and so it's nice to see that they were able to play a role in this rescue. And belugas, I mean, the high-pitched sounds they make, just fascinating animals. They're kind of like dolphins in a way. That's how I compare them, at least.
Yeah, they're really adorable, and I was not expecting to see them so up close and seeing them do their tricks and the sound. It's definitely a story I'm going to remember.
Maria, thank you so much for being live with us. I'll let you get back to it. We'll see you again at 3 o'clock. In the meantime, you guys, let's talk about another experience you can see up close and personal, though this one might get your heart racing. Our Chris Rosenthal is out live at Atlanta Motorsports Park, where, Chris, I understand you're getting up close with the new Corvettes.
Yeah, absolutely. Up close and personal here with the new Corvettes, and I have some of the engineers here, particularly the chief engineer here is going to give us a little tour of it. But, you know, I heard you talk about the sound of belugas, but let's hear the sound of a new Corvette. Let's take it away, Aaron. That is a beautiful, beautiful sound right there. So that is a new Corvette Grand Sport here, and I have lucky enough to talk to the chief engineer here, Josh. Tell me about the new models. You're 73 years here. You guys have been making these things, and let's get a look at these here.
Well, thanks, Chris. Thanks for being here. We're super excited to be here. We're looking at the Corvette lineup, and what's new for the 2027 model year is a brand new LS6 engine. It's 6.7 liters, makes 535 horsepower, 520 pound-feet of torque, and in the Stingray, it will go 200 miles an hour. It's an incredible car. And then, all new for 2027, we have our Grand Sport lineup. So the yellow and the white car are in our Grand Sport family. The Grand Sport X includes an electrified all-wheel drive front axle that makes 186 horsepower, and the combination of those two is 721 horsepower.
What's it like to ride in one of these?
They're incredible. It's difficult to describe until you get to experience it yourself, which is why we're at Atlanta Motorsports Park, giving people a taste of what Corvette performance is all about.
Gotcha. And so, going down the line, I mean, these are some of the really, really super end, higher end ones here, huh?
Yeah, we've got quite a lineup, a big bandwidth of Corvettes. So the orange here is a Z06. It's got the flat plane crank LT6, makes 670 horsepower, revs to 8,600 RPM. And then we have a 1,064 horsepower ZR1. It's really a supercar. And then the ZR1X makes 1,250 horsepower. These two cars will go 233 miles an hour.
1,250. Wow.
Yes.
That's got to be. Have you ridden in that before?
Oh, yes. They're incredible to drive. The capability is amazing, indescribable, really. The acceleration. We took a ZR1X to a drag strip and did the quarter mile in 8.6 seconds. So amazing performance and acceleration. And we're at the Nürburgring and set a time for an American car. I should stress that Corvette has always been American. It's designed, engineered, developed, and built in the United States.
That's something that makes it unique, huh?
Absolutely. We really call it America's sports car.
Yeah. And, tell me, you're chief engineer. I mean, what's it like to have, I guess you could say, have a privilege of designing cars like this?
I really have my dream job, but it's really, there's a lot of people that contribute to Corvette. I get to surround myself with some of the smartest people in the world. I learn every day. And the talent that's behind these cars is absolutely amazing. And that's why we've got the performance that we have. It's really about the people and the technical capability and a passionate group of people that develop the Corvette.
And, I was going to tease this a little bit for the later show, but just really quick, this one here is super special, huh?
Yeah, that very car just set the record at Pikes Peak. J.R. Hildebrand drove that car to the record. It smashed the previous record. And we're super proud of the accomplishment that not only he did, but another testament to the team. It demonstrates the capability of our all-wheel drive technology, the power and performance of a ZR1X, and really shows a different light that Corvette can do on a non-traditional track. Pikes Peak is quite a torture test, and this car, it was absolutely incredible.
Wow. Well, Josh, thanks you for showing us these cars here. We'll stick around and take more of a look at these here and take a better look here in the 3 o'clock hour.
Chris, just incredible. And to see a car that he said was on Pikes Peak, that's pretty impressive. Listening to the hum of the Corvettes, love that you're able to get up close and personal. And I understand we will be doing that again here upcoming at 3 o'clock. So Chris Rosenthal, thanks so much for being live with us. As we continue at 2, coming up, you guys, we have more news to come, so stay tuned. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Ariel Onstadt. Thanks so much for being live with us. We just got word that President Donald Trump says he's ordering flags to be lowered for a week to honor Dolly Parton and her legacy. She died at 80 years old. We'll have more on this to come as the hours progress. In the meantime, I want to talk about a volunteer who's done a lot of work to help fight hunger here in our community, and as a result was honored. Our Elijah Jordan went to go to that ceremony and joins us live. Eli, it is great to see you. What can you share this afternoon?
Hey, good afternoon, Ariel. First of all, shout out to Dolly Parton, one of the coolest human beings on the face of the planet. But also another cool human being is Alan Joseph. Now, Alan Joseph was honored today by Points of Light. And Points of Light is a non-profit global entity founded 35 years ago under George Herbert Walker Bush. That was in 1989. That's the first Bush. And they honor a volunteer every day since 1989, every single day. And Alan Joseph was honored today, and he was honored with the Daily Point of Light, the 8,398th award. And Alan Joseph has combated food insecurity in Tamil Nadu, India. And here's what Jennifer Serangelo, president of Points of Light, has to say along with Alan.
A national recognition called the Daily Point of Light Award for extraordinary people who make an impact through their volunteer service. And Alan Joseph is an amazing example of that through his work in India with Abundance Kitchen. So
I think it is extremely, important that we act. I think all of us have good intentions. So when we see a need, it's natural for us as human beings to relate to it and have an intention to serve and to solve. But taking the first step is extremely important, and I'm so glad I have amazing volunteers do that. And I just wish if all of us take some action at some point in our lifetime, the collective, the compounding impact is going to be amazing. We'll be able to reach the unreached, and we will be able to create a world where none of us have to worry about food or clothing or basic needs, security and dignity.
45 communities over in India, and he serves about 8,000 to 10,000 meals a day, and he's hoping to get up to a million meals a day, and he's going to be expanding soon. And if you want to know more about the Abundance Kitchen, go to theabundancekitchen.com. theabundancekitchen.com. You can find out more and even contact Alan Joseph if you want to make a contribution. It's not ready for contributions yet, but it's getting there. He's planning on expanding this and making this, giving his 501c3 nonprofit a higher profile here in Atlanta, and hopefully serving people here in Atlanta as well as the people over in India. Ariel?
Eli, wonderful effort through Abundance Kitchen. Amazing that he was able to receive this award and help so many different communities. Thanks for bringing it to our attention. We'll see you again here upcoming throughout the afternoon. As we continue at 2 o'clock, you guys, real quick, before we move on to 3, I want to talk about our Atlanta Braves because they are preparing for an important series against the Los Angeles Dodgers tonight. So to talk about it, let's bring in co-host from Locked On Braves, the podcast, Jake Mastriani. Jake, it is great to see you this afternoon.
Yeah, you too, Ariel. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, wonderful. So I guess my first question here is taking a look back, right? We saw the Braves play their first 2 games with Milwaukee with no homers. And I'm curious, what do you think about their approach? Do they need to change anything based on how they played with Milwaukee?
It's been a great test for them really over the last couple of weeks. They're facing postseason teams. They're facing really good pitching, especially in the case of the Yankees series, even that Diamondback series, and then this Brewers series. It's some elite pitching that you're going to face in the postseason. So it's a good test to see how your offense is going to hold up. Now, Braves offense isn't clicking on all cylinders right now, and so that's holding them back some. But it's an offense that is very much dependent on those home runs. So when they're not coming, they really struggle to score, as any offense would. But particularly particularly this Braves offense where the majority of their runs scored are going to come from home runs. So when those aren't happening, how can you manufacture? How can you get other things done? And I do think that is something that this Braves offense is going to have to look at as an approach change. Are they going to have to do some more hit and run? Are they going to have to try to steal some more bases? That's why they brought over Antoine Richardson, first base coach in the offseason, to help out with that. And I think they're really seeing that, and that's really kind of being exposed as they face some of these postseason teams and some of this really elite pitching, where it's not going to be as easy as always to get those home runs, and especially not the 2- and 3-run home runs, as there's not going to be as many runners on base. So being able to manufacture, do some little things in order to help supplement when those home runs do come is going to be key for this Atlanta Braves team down the stretch and hopefully going into the postseason.
Makes sense, Jake. You know, you've got to offset with a lot of little things to take you to the next level if you're not able to score the big home runs. So the Dodgers are coming to town tonight, 3 huge games in the series. So I'd like to talk about what you think the Braves need to do in order to take that with the Dodgers.
Well, the pitching has to maintain. The pitching has been fantastic in this stretch here lately. They have certainly done their job, but the big key, as we kind of touched on a minute ago, is the offense. Can they get back to being that team that's scoring, 4+ runs a night? In the month of August, they're scoring fewer than 4 runs a game, and that's not going to be able to keep up with the Dodgers of the world. So that's really the key in this one. You obviously have some really good pitching matchups. It's another great test. This Braves were in a stretch of playing, postseason caliber competition, and they've yet to really come out on the positive side of any of those series. So I think it's more so, as we talked about going into last weekend against the Brewers, the chance for them to gain some confidence against another National League opponent that's above them in the standings, just overall record-wise, and a team that if they want to get to their ultimate goal, they're going to have to go through a team like this. So they've been in all these games. That's one positive you can take from it. But like I said, they haven't been able to win any of these series so far. So hopefully being able to do that against a Dodgers team will kickstart this Braves group and get them going down the stretch here. Schedule does lighten up a little bit, but then they got those games coming up against the Phillies too, who are certainly coming up on them.
Yeah, you brought me perfectly to my next question here, Jake, which is the pressure now on the Braves with the Phillies breathing down their neck? Do you feel like, of course, they have to be feeling that, but I'd love your take on that pressure.
Certainly. With the new playoff format, winning the division isn't everything. Obviously, you want to, especially when you've held it for so long, to give it up to a division rival like that is not going to feel good. But the main focus for me, and I think for this team, should be just getting to a place where they are playing clean, confident baseball going into down the stretch and into October. The Braves and Phillies are about to play 7 times. That will most likely determine who wins this division. But both these teams are also most likely going into the postseason either way. And if you're not going to get one of those top 2 seeds to get a bye, I don't know that there's that much advantage between getting the 3rd seed or being one of the wild card teams. So it's not so much about that, other than it's just a pride thing. You don't want to, give up this huge division lead that you've had pretty much all year to your rival Phillies. But it's more so about the Braves just getting back to playing a good brand of baseball, Braves type of baseball. We haven't seen that a lot here lately. It's been kind of up and down for the Braves all year. So for me, it's not so much worrying about the Phillies. It's more so worried about the Braves getting back to playing that level of baseball that we're accustomed to.
It makes sense because, you can kind of hang it all up on one big team in the series. You can be like, oh, the Dodgers, oh, the Phillies. But at the end of the day, if you're not seeing a team that's playing really good baseball, if it feels a little stale, it feels a little up and down, that is the bigger concern because you're looking at it over the course of the entire season. So, Jake, always appreciate your perspective. Thanks so much for joining us for this conversation. Jake Mastriani, co-host of Locked on Braves podcast. Jake, no doubt, will be seeing you again for further conversation, so thank you so much. Okay, so as we continue, you guys, coming up here at 3 o'clock, we have more news to come with Tom Haynes. He is getting ready to join you, and I'm Ariel Onstadt. As always, thanks so much for joining me here at 2 o'clock.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm your host, Tom Haynes, here for the next hour, bringing you up to date on all the news that's breaking right now. And we have some sad news to report with country music icon, humanitarian, American legend Dolly Parton passing away at the age of 80, we understand. We've been inundated with calls about Dolly Parton's death. Of course, you've been talking about it on our social media platforms as well. The President of the United States posting on Truth Social not too long ago that flags are going to fly at half staff by presidential order for the next week. So reaction is pouring in. Her nephew confirming the superstar passed away about an hour ago on her Instagram page, saying that she was surrounded by her loved ones. From her humble beginnings in the Smoky Mountains to global stardom with timeless hits like Jolene and I Will Always Love You, Dolly Parton transformed music and touched millions throughout her imagination and her incredible music library. Do you remember when she used to appear on the Johnny Carson program? I mean, just take a look in your YouTube and YouTube Dolly Parton and Johnny Carson. Those appearances were really priceless, and it's something you've got to see. If you're a Dolly Parton fan and you're taking time to remember her this afternoon, it's wonderful to watch. Tributes pouring in from around the world for our true national treasure. Take a look at live pictures. I want to take you out to California. I don't know if we have them or if somebody's in front of the camera right now talking, but a couple of seconds ago, we got images from L.A. of Dolly Parton's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. And if you're out there, this is the place to be this afternoon, as fans and well-wishers have gathered there around her star to remember her, memorialize her, and to thank her for all that she contributed to society, to entertainment, to just our general well-being. She had Dollywood that many families went up to have a great time. And you could see Dolly Parton's family members walking around Dollywood. She was extremely approachable. I was listening to Paul Milliken during the 2 p.m. hour talking about his encounters with Dolly Parton and how she was so sweet, not only when Paul would go up and interview her, but to the entire crew. Paul's crew would be up there with him. She'd go around, introduce herself to all of the crew members, say, "Hello, I'm Dolly Parton. So nice to meet you." We're going to bring you more on Dolly Parton's extraordinary life and her career coming up here in the 3 p.m. hour. We have some other news breaking this afternoon about the situation in Avondale Estates. We understand that a 53-year-old man is in critical condition after being shot multiple times Monday morning outside Harley Collision on Maple Street in Avondale Estates. This is a story we covered breaking here on the 3 p.m. streaming hour yesterday. Good Samaritans, including a physician working across the street, rushed to provide medical aid until emergency crews arrived. Investigators say the female suspect fled the scene and was later found in Hapeville at a McDonald's parking lot with an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head. She later died at Gray Memorial Hospital, where police confirmed the victim. The suspect were in a personal relationship, but no motive has been determined.
I could see that people were standing around across the street. He ran over there, and then he came back and asked us to bring medical supplies since he's a physician. And until the emergency services got there, we just tried to extend assistance.
Authorities say there's no ongoing threat to the public. We have news of a huge pot bust that we want to tell you about today. We're talking about deputies in Butts County confiscating over 1,800 pounds of marijuana originating from Sacramento, California. Sheriff Gary Long says that about half of the shipment was headed to Atlanta, while the other half was destined for Orlando. Investigators have not yet released details on exactly how the drugs were intercepted or if any arrests have been made. However, Sheriff Long issued this massive seizure to send a warning to Georgia lawmakers considering marijuana legalization. Well, from Butts County to Coweta County, and the fight against drugs in our community intensifying seemingly all over the place. as deputies in Coweta move in for a huge meth bust. Let's get out to our Doug Evans live for us this afternoon with this huge bust. Doug?
Tom, I want to take you back to your top story just a few minutes ago, the death of Dolly Parton. I was doing an interview on this big meth bust here at the Coweta County Sheriff's Office. The PIO, Jacob Herbert, all mic'd up, lights are on, cameras rolling. We're going to do this story, right? All of a sudden he looks down at his phone, he looks back up and he goes, Dolly Parton just died. And so we stopped everything and we started trading Dolly Parton stories. That's the kind of day it is. Anyway, back to this drug bust. It was a big one, 44 pounds of meth. That is a substantial amount of methamphetamines, guys. It's you almost never hear of a drug bust this large on the interstate. A SUV traveling down I-85 southbound out of Atlanta got pulled over. In the back seat, deputies found a trash bag. They opened it up, and there in the back, in that trash bag, was that 44 pounds of methamphetamine. The deputy, we're told, was unwrapping it, sees what it is, looks over at the suspect, and notices that he's at the back of the patrol car, not where he's been left, but looking around, because he knows that this deputy is searching his back seat where there's 44 pounds of meth, and the guy's like looking around, and it's clear to everyone on the scene he's about to run. So the deputy pulls his taser, immediately goes to him, kind of pushes him to the ground and cuffs him before he can run away, apparently. So it's a big drug bust here, Tom. The PIO, Jacob Herbert, telling me that he cannot remember a larger one out on the interstate other than 44 pounds of meth. Apparently it was purchased in the city of Atlanta somewhere. We do not know of its destination. Tom?
What a touching top of your piece there about Dolly Parton and the folks there remembering her and being so surprised at her death, as we were here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, Doug. Regarding the meth, every time I hear methamphetamine in these drug houses, I know authorities take extreme caution when they go into a house like that because of the combustible nature of the ingredients and the drug itself. Did they take any sort of extra care when they made this arrest, or is that kind of protocol and procedure when dealing with methamphetamine?
Yeah, these guys typically, when they search a car, they put on gloves of some sort to protect them from any residue that might get on them. It was kind of sealed in a bag. Now, what other precautions they might have taken other than that, I don't know. They deal with this sort of thing all the time. This was the crime suppression unit out of Coweta County. They're the ones that work the highways for drugs and that sort of thing. So I think that they're well up to speed on precautions and things like that. But typically it's gloves and that sort of thing. And then once it gets here, man, there's all kinds of protocols for logging that stuff in, taking care of it, making sure that it doesn't hurt anyone.
Yeah, quite a takedown, and certainly glad that stuff is off the streets. Doug Evans with Coweta County deputies taking a bunch of methamphetamine into possession. Doug, thanks so much. A couple other stories we're following for you this afternoon. Here at 3 p.m., a new petition calling on state lawmakers to dissolve Georgia's newest city. We're talking about Mableton resident Kimberly Houston launching the Change.org petition, urging the General Assembly to explore legislation that would allow a pathway to dissolve the city of Mableton. Organizers cite 5 primary concerns, including potential property tax increases and the duplication of services already provided. As of Tuesday morning, the petition has gathered more than 1,700 signatures. While signing the petition would not dissolve the city, supporters plan to present it to state officials as debate over Mableton future continues. Reality TV personality Sydney Starr has been denied bond following an arrest earlier on child sexual assault charges. Starr, whose legal name is Sydney Favors, appeared before a Fulton County judge this morning. The transgender model and TV personality was arrested August the 2nd at an Embassy Suites in Hateville. Favors faces charges including sodomy, sexual battery against a child under 16, and aggravated child molestation. In court, investigators testified that Favors admitted to engaging in sexual contact with a juvenile inside a hotel room. The 13-year-old victim's mother advisory spoke to the judge asking that bond be denied and describing the trauma that her son has endured. Despite arguments from defense counsel that Favors had no prior criminal history, the judge sided with prosecutors and ordered Favors held without bond. A missing Florida woman who relocated to Georgia to live with a man that she met online has been found. Catrice Simmons moved from Pensacola to Atlanta in April and had not been heard from since May 19th. Her family traveled to Georgia to search for her after suddenly stopping communications with her children, and her phone went straight to voicemail. Late Monday morning, Simmons' daughter reported that her mother had been found safe, and volunteers have canceled planned search efforts. Fox 5 has reached out to Atlanta police for additional information on her condition and where she was located. Well, here now with our Angelique Proctor to talk about a story that we've been following all afternoon surrounding the flock camera controversy, Angelique. It's something you and I have talked about here on the 3 p.m. stream, both the pros and the cons. You've been part of covering these demonstrations. And now State Senator John Albers held a news conference at the state capitol to announce a new task force addressing recent misuse of flock cameras. We know certain deputies have been in the line of fire for taking plate information and using it for nefarious reasons. Tell us about this activity at the state capitol this afternoon.
Funny you mentioned the law enforcement officers. Just today, Hall County announced yet another law enforcement officer who's not only been terminated, but will be charged criminally. So, yeah, that's been a big problem, and that's what the senator is really trying to get ahead of. He wants to address these issues because so many people, or at least a lot of law enforcement agencies, believe that flock cameras have helped in so many instances solving crimes, finding missing persons. But this Georgia senator says it is his goal to work with a task force that he is on, and it's a law enforcement task force that he is working with, and they're going to try to come up with some solutions to help out. Maybe some technology upgrades, some policy changes, or even potential state legislation. Now, he is John Albers, and he is a member of that law enforcement task force that's looking at these flock cameras. He says he doesn't want us to do a knee-jerk reaction to all of this. He says that flock cameras remain an essential law enforcement tool, and what he is pointing to is the 10,000 missing persons who were found in 2025 as an example of the good work that flock cameras can do. He says his goal is to really strike an even balance between using the license plate readers and curbing the abuse of them by law enforcement. Let's take a listen.
Like every citizen in our state, we're concerned about the abuses that have took place. And let's be clear, it is both wrong and unacceptable. At the same time, we have to be smart and have a balanced approach, as 99.9% of our law enforcement officers at all times are doing great things for our community, and we stand behind them and we back the blue in Georgia. I'm very proud of the fact the Georgia Sheriffs and Police Chiefs Association came together to form a task force, which I am working on as well, in order to identify where those problems started, work together with their own policies and procedures, work with Flock, the company that made that, to put the right protocols in place, and ultimately work with us to see what, if any, long-term answers need to be put in place through legislation.
Touch me. Now, one of the new regulations floating around that people are talking about is using subpoenas, perhaps, that law enforcement would have to get a subpoena in place before being allowed to use a flock camera. That's just an idea, but it's an idea that seems to be taking off. So stay tuned on this one.
Yeah, there's an article today, Angelique, in the Wall Street Journal. Flock cameras spreading across America. The backlash is growing just as fast.
Wow.
It's a bipartisan situation. I mean, usually these things are on one side of the aisle or the other, but calls from both sides of the aisle to take a step, even the President of the United States, to take a step back and reassess how we use flock cameras, how many are out there,
Because Atlanta has a whole lot, more than most cities.
They do, because the company was founded here, the owner lives here, and so this was sort of ground zero for this great experiment.
Absolutely.
But it's like, how do we proceed going forward? Because on the one hand, they are, and you and I talked about this, helpful in some regards, but others people feel like they're an intrusion on their privacy, like First Amendment type issues.
Sure. And interesting you mentioned Flock, because they are also on this task force with law enforcement officials, so they're weighing in as well. So the goal is to get something to come out of this task force that everybody can be happy with. Is that possible?
I don't know. In this day and age, who knows? Angelique, as always, thanks so much. I want to take you back live to Los Angeles, where people are gathering in Hollywood to memorialize Dolly Parton, who died today at the age of 80 years old. It's news that we got into the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom about 1 o'clock this afternoon. Her nephew taking to the social media, and these are live pictures out of L.A., Hollywood Boulevard or thereabouts, at her star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where flowers are being placed, the media there assembled to just take a look at the life and legacy of Dolly Parton, and those who happen to be in the area out there to memorialize her. I know we've gotten a lot of calls at the Fox 5 assignment desk to remember Dolly Parton, certainly on our social media platforms, people weighing in on how she touched their lives. So our coverage of the death of Dolly Parton will continue here in the 3 p.m. streaming hour. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. So happy you're along with us this afternoon. Alex Forbes is out at Eastlake Golf Club getting ready for the Tour Championship here in Atlanta. That is such a beautiful course, really, no matter what the weather does, Alex. And it has been nice this week. We've had beautiful mornings, spectacular, warm afternoons, not so humid, but things are going to take a little turn here as we reach tournament time out there at Eastlake.
That's right, and it's not just one element of the weather that are going to take a little bit of a turn. It's going to be several. You're going to see the humidity build back in. You're going to have showers and storms, particularly by the time you get towards Thursday and Friday. So that's why we're kind of soaking up the sun now. Take a look at Eastlake Golf Club there back in the distance, Tom. The flags are moving a little bit, a tiny bit of a breeze. Most of this morning's play, the practice round, has come to an end, but still some people milling around on the different practice greens up near the clubhouse, but then also on the driving range just over to the left of the clubhouse at this hour. And then people milling around the grounds as well under cobalt blue skies. Oh, literally, I'm looking up. There's not a cloud in sight. So if only we could have done this here towards the back half of the week, that would be kind of nice. Speaking of which, let's take a look here at your 7-day forecast for Metro Atlanta. So we've enjoyed the low 90s, upper 80s, low 90s, some refreshing mornings, and that's what's going to change. So you've got the humidity building back in, really beginning tomorrow. Still, not bad, but then your rain chance begins to go up, particularly by the time you get towards Thursday and Friday. But Tom, the important thing here is that none of these days that you see with the rain chance on them are washouts. It's the summertime stuff, right? You're going to get a storm, say mid-afternoon, and then it gets out of here. But even that is enough to derail things here for at least a little while. You might remember, this might be almost a decade ago, not quite. Lightning actually hit a tree here at Eastlake during the tournament, so that's something we'll be watching for here in the days to come. But in the meantime, we have a little bit of a breeze, humidity's down, but it's still hot, right? I think that's the thing we shouldn't lose sight of. Even though the humidity's down, it's still, upper 80s, low 90s out here at this hour.
Alex, what about the crowds out there? Is it like the Masters where they have like a practice round that you can go out and kind of watch the players move around the course?
Right, so that was this morning. So this is only the top 30 players in the PGA, so there's not as many people to necessarily cycle through. That's why everything comes to an end a little earlier in the day. So that's probably the biggest difference between this and the Masters, right? The Masters, you start with a lot more players, and so there's more people to get through, particularly on practice round days, then also Thursday and Friday. So, Tom, it's literally the 30 best, which means it doesn't take as long.
And we got your 7-day. That was my task when you left for Eastlake. You said, just be sure you have my 7-day and we can pop it up. So we're going to put that up on the screen now, right now, Helly? If I can get it to play. All right. 7-day forecast, and we're looking at Wednesday, Thursday, Friday are our increased chances of rain.
Yes. And Friday there is the wettest, so that's going to be your 70% chance there. And like I said, the good news is your rain chances are not as high over the weekend, and that's when things come down to the wire, right? This wraps up on Sunday, and we would like it to be dry as long as possible and have the lightning stay away. That's another component, right? It could storm 2 miles over there, but as long as there's lightning, that would delay things here for a little while.
All right. Meteorologist Alex Forbes soaking in the sun at Eastlake. Alex, thanks so much. We got news of the National Hockey League arena, which could be coming to our area soon. It's a big deal because we're trying to get hockey in this area, and so they're building this spectacular site to try to facilitate just that. Take a look at this animation. It's really a whole complex involved here in attracting hockey to the area, and hundreds of millions of dollars literally are being spent for this multi-use facility, which is, again, trying to attract yet more professional sports to the area. Let's take you out to Truist Park right now for a live look where the Braves getting ready to open a series against Los Angeles there tonight. Atlanta comes into this sitting at number 1 in the NL East. It's a big game. Our Emily Wisnowski is out there live to talk to us about tonight's game and the activity going on at Truist Park. The stage is set, and the weather is looking good out there too. As we look live over Cobb County, Kennesaw Mountain out there in the distance for what is just a spectacular way to tee up this game. Emily, know you're with us now. Tell us about what's happening out there at Truist. We know a lot happens out at Truist, whether there's a game in town or not. So what's going on out there this afternoon?
So right now the stadium's very quiet. You see the grounds crew rather kind of getting things together. A few Braves players out there just throwing the ball around. Chris Sale, who will not be pitching tonight, it will be Bryce Elder. But it's like you said, this game is massive for a handful of reasons. The Dodgers are coming into Atlanta with a 4-game lead over Atlanta. Why does this matter? Because the two highest win total teams in each league, they get to bypass the wild card round. And right now you've got the Brewers and the Dodgers leading the NL. Then you've got Atlanta 4 games behind with 76 wins. So this game's going to be massive, right? This next series, these next 3 days, what can Atlanta do? How can they prove it? You've got the Dodgers, highest payroll-wise team in the Major League Baseball. Atlanta right there with them, and so it'll be a test. Looks empty right now, as you can tell, but I can guarantee you guys it will not be empty come first pitch at 7:15.
And I love the perspective you're giving us there of the field. That's a cool place to be when like nobody is in there, because it gives you an idea of just how massive Truist Park actually is. Give us one more pan around of the field. Looks like it's in spectacular shape. I don't know if you walked through the Battery on your way out there, but I bet a lot is going on there too.
A lot, yeah, fans slowly kind of trickling in right now. And we still have, it's 3:24, so fans still have some time, no rush. But I can tell you from leaving the station that traffic was kind of starting to build. You can see it, and for good reason too, right? You've got top division guys rolling on into Atlanta, and this Braves team is surely going to need the fans to be loud if they'd like to, ruffle up the Dodgers a bit.
All right, great night for baseball. Emily, thanks so much. When we come back, remembering Dolly Parton with our own Paul Milliken, somebody who's met Dolly on a number of occasions. I told you that little anecdote that Paul talked about in the 2 p.m. streaming hour. He's going to join us here coming up after the break with reaction of Dolly Parton's death when we come back. Want to take you back out live to Los Angeles. This was our live picture a couple of minutes ago. Not a bad view now, but earlier we were taking a look at the Hollywood Walk of Fame, where folks gathering around Dolly Parton's star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame, joined by Paul Milliken, somebody I would, go as far as to say who knew Dolly Parton, okay? Because you've interviewed
We were
her
fortunate, probably
so many times.
7 or 8 times over the years, over a long span of time too. I think the first time was probably almost 15
15 years ago, she had come to Atlanta to introduce Dreammore Resort, which was one of the resort properties that they built up at Dollywood. So she was announcing the plans for that. And that was the one, I told this story earlier, I don't know if this is what you were referencing, but it was my first impression of Dolly Parton, right?
Okay.
So we're there, I think it was in the Four Seasons, and she's in a hotel suite set up. And first of all, there's one thing about Dolly Parton we all know. She had the best lighting crew, the best, I mean, she had professional, her own crew was there ready for us. But we walked in, and then she walked in after us and walked around to that crew, shook every single person's hand, introduced herself to every single person in the room. There was a lot of crew people, a lot of people in there just making sure she was okay, had what she needed. And she instantly put everybody at ease. And of course, she's walking up like, "Hi, I'm Dolly Parton." You're thinking, you don't need to do that, Dolly.
Yeah.
We know who. But it was really lovely. I think that's indicative of just the kind of life she led and the sort of image that she was able to portray through her entire career. I mean, talk about so down to earth.
Well, and her storied career. Sometimes you think of these celebrities who are too big for their britches and don't have time for those people around her.
Right.
She's got a million things going on.
Absolutely.
She's got a million business ventures, and yet she goes out of her way to say, "Hey, I'm Dolly Parton. So nice to meet you," to the entire crew in the room. But you think back, it's not just a linear one-track career. Dolly Parton has had her hands in so many things. And I was talking about earlier, you go back and watch some of the clips of her on the Johnny Carson show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Her interactions with Elvis. The songs that she's written not only for herself but other people.
Right.
Dollywood, I mean, you name it.
Well, that's the thing, and I think that part of her career, that she was so multifaceted, that's probably one of her biggest lasting legacies. It really influenced every entertainer to come after her, the way that she was an actress, a singer, a business person as well. But you talk about her, that sort of down-home thing. I think that's because she really always gave credit for everything to her family. And growing up in the Great Smoky Mountains, she'd say these hills, the hills that I grew up in, the Great Smoky Mountains, and she just never forgot where she came from. She never forgot the conditions she grew up in, but also just the love she was surrounded with her parents and her family. And I think that's what carried on as she went on throughout her career. Just an incredible life and legacy to look back on.
So it wasn't a character, all right, or a caricature.
Right.
She was really that person.
She was that person. First of all, she was so tiny. Tom Haynes, when I'm telling you, she was tiny in person, but boy, did she know how to fill a room when she walked in. But she was that person. Another great memory that I feel so fortunate to have. We were there at Dollywood, and I can't remember what this was for. I think it was around the holidays. And the fun thing is, when she would be there at Dollywood, fans wouldn't necessarily know. She would just suddenly be there, and she was super accessible to people. So fans would walk up, they'd get pictures. There was always a girl dressed in a coat of many colors, to get a picture with her. And so she was there this particular time, and what was a lot of fun, and I'll hand this to you too, we're getting a statement and we can read in a minute. She was sitting there, and all these fans were gathered around, and she would do this thing with her nails. She would play her acrylic nails almost like a washboard, and she started singing 9 to 5, and she sang 9 to 5 for the crowd on her nails, making the sound, and the whole crowd sang along. And just that approachability is something that you certainly don't see much these days.
She seems self-deprecating too. I mean, I talked about the Carson clip. She's known not only for being a great singer, but she's known for her physical attributes too.
100%.
Something she was never shy to talk about.
Well, she's the one.
And make light of.
She's the one that said, she has that famous clip. I think she's telling Barbara Walters, "I patterned my look after the town tramp because I thought she was the most beautiful woman in town." That's Dolly Parton right there.
I think we have on number 2 here, we have pictures of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Not sure, but I want to read a statement that we're getting from Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. Dollywood, with heavy hearts, the Dollywood family mourns the passing of our beloved dreamer in chief, Dolly Parton. Everybody at Dollywood shares the sorrow of countless people around the world touched by Dolly's warmth, wisdom, and generous spirit. And I think I heard you talking about earlier, Paul, the fact that her family, it wasn't just open Dollywood and then put my name on it and forget it. Like, her family walked
they all
around
work there. Yes,
you might be able to see her there once in a while.
100%. Like I said, when she would be there, she was very accessible. But all of the shows, and there's great live shows, of course, at Dollywood. Her family, they're the ones singing. They all work there. So people know her family well. And in fact, her family, each of the members, the brothers and sisters and the nieces and the nephews, they have their own followings because they've been at Dollywood performing, and certain fans kind of form connections to them as well. And she was really good to the employees of Dollywood. I mentioned earlier we were up there for a premiere of her show Dolly Parton's Heartstrings, which she filmed here in Atlanta, held a big red carpet premiere up in Pigeon Forge. Yeah. And she went, once the celebrities walked the red carpet, did their interviews, she had all of the employees walk the red carpet so they could get their pictures, and then said, you guys come in and watch the show too. This isn't just for the celebrities. You come watch the show.
Just so generous of spirit. Were you surprised today when you heard of her passing?
I was surprised. I mean, look, we knew things were going on. I mean, there certainly had been rumblings. She'd been canceling appearances. So I think we'd known for a while that things were changing with her. One thing about Dolly Parton, as accessible as she is and as approachable and as much as we felt like we knew her, there were certain things she held close. Yeah. Her political beliefs were one. We never heard her talk about those things. Right. And her health was another. So and her husband as well, kept very much out of the spotlight. But I think we sort of knew something was going on. I wasn't totally surprised. That said, Dolly Parton feels so timeless that this news, of course, it's going to come as a surprise to everyone, because she just is such an enduring spirit. And the great thing about her and her career and her work is that she will live on. We always have the movies and the music and the park and the fashion and all of those things.
All right. Paul Milliken with a unique perspective.
Yeah.
Somebody who knew Dolly Parton. Paul, thanks
good to be
so much.
here. Yeah, thank you.
We'll be right back. Welcome back to the 3 p.m. streaming hour here on Fox Local. I'm Tom Haines, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Appreciate you streaming along with us today. If you're watching us on our free Fox Local mobile app on your mobile device, we're happy you're with us this afternoon. If you're watching at home on one of your live channels, happy you're along with us as well. Or on one of our social media platforms, at Fox 5 Atlanta. We stream on Instagram. If you're watching us on our story, welcome to you, or TikTok, or Facebook, or YouTube. I think I got them all out. Welcome to you guys as well. We're always on the radio, too, with our radio partners, 107.9 HD2 FM. If you happen to be driving around town listening to us today, welcome to you as well. Want to go out to Atlanta Motorsports Park in Dawsonville to get a first look at Chevy's all-new Corvette. It's called Grand Sport X. I can see Chris Rosenthal. Hopefully, I can hear Chris Rosenthal. Not sure if we can, but I don't think we can. We got Maria? All right. We're going to hit Chris Rosenthal in a second because he's getting behind the wheel with some of the top engineers, pro drivers today, talking about this very cool motorsports event. In the meantime, I want to take you to the Georgia Aquarium, where 2 new beluga whales are now calling Georgia home as part of an international effort to rehome dozens of whales from a closed marine park in Canada. That's Maria Guzman, who's out and about for us this afternoon. And it's nice to hear, you know, when you think of aquariums, like, oh, they went and took this beluga whale out of the ocean, and now no, this is a rescue operation. I mean, I was lucky enough to go behind the scenes at the Georgia Aquarium, and the veterinarian staff there, the way they care for these marine mammals and animals is really incredible, Maria.
Hey, Tom, I had the same reaction. I was very impressed. I got to see a behind-the-scenes look on how things operate inside the aquarium. And yes, I mean, I think it's really important to highlight that this is a rescue effort, an international rescue effort, because 30 belugas were going to be euthanized if they weren't rescued. And so the U.S. stepped in, as well as other countries. And so 2 of those 30 belugas are right here at the Georgia Aquarium, and they're doing it very well. Now, within the first day, they adjusted quickly to their environment and also to their fellow whale beluga. So let's go ahead and take a listen on how these 2 weeks have been.
The 2 weeks have been going really, really well. You can see that they've already integrated. They're swimming around here with the 4 whales that we had here prior. They are becoming very closely united, which is really, really great. We're seeing them interact with one another, so they're settling into the pod really well. When they first arrived here, we actually had them separated from the current population. That way we could monitor their behavior and make sure that they were nice and calm. That very first day, they started interacting with enrichment, which is what we call toys. They were playing with things, and then they started eating on that first day, so that was great. We did have overnight observations on them throughout the entire time, and we did see them going over to the gates and interacting with the females on the other side. And so the next morning we opted, because we saw those positive behaviors, to go ahead and open up the gates and see them interact with one another. Their behavior was determining what we were going to do and when we were going to mix them, but they were showing really, really positive behavior right from the get-go, and so we opted to fast-track that and move forward with integrating them together. The biggest physical characteristics that you can determine who is who, Balor is a white, lean, long whale, and he's kind of got a black little mark on top of his head, like a little black circle. It looks kind of like a toasted marshmallow on his melon. And then Zephyr, he is a little bit smaller, also lean, and he has gray skin. He's a little bit younger, and so belugas do turn white over their lifespan, but they're gray when they're young. And so he's gray, and his skin is a little bit wrinkly, and so that's how you can differentiate him from the others. So for all of our beluga sessions, we have a trainer for every whale, and we step down onto these platforms or on the skimmers within the habitat, and we have their bucket of fish, and we step down, and they have particular spots that they go to. And we've already trained Balor and Zephyr that their spots are at the end of the. When they step up, they interact with the trainer that's working with them directly. Balor and Zephyr are still pretty young. They are 10 and 7 years old, and so they're at the early stages of their lives. They can live into their 30s, if not longer, and so they're kind of like teenagers or preteens.
And now again, this consisted of 30 beluga whales that were rescued. Now 28 of those whales are going to be going and relocating across the U.S., 2 of them in Spain. So a major, major rescue effort, and we have 2 of them right here at home in the Georgia Aquarium, Tom.
What an extraordinary effort, as you said. And for people who are going to the Georgia Aquarium, are they in the tanks that we can look through and see right now, or are they sort of helping them transition to Georgia Aquarium life and they'll be rolled out at a later date?
Tom, they are ready. So the moment that they joined their fellow belugas in the pod, they became open for the guests and visitors to see. So if you do go to the aquarium, you'll get a chance to see our two new belugas. And there was a full crowd today. I got to see that as well. So it was very neat.
We were just randomly talking about this morning with my family. I didn't know this, but, and you don't have to elaborate on it, but I'm just thinking out loud here, as I often do during the 3 p.m. stream, that you can sleep over at the Georgia Aquarium. I just think that's so cool.
You know, I didn't know that, but I'm also new to the Atlanta area,
Yeah.
so it seems like I'm going to convince my husband to do that with me because I was very impressed on how cool things are inside.
I know. I mean, just imagine waking up to that majesty of the marine life in front of you. Maria Guzman out at the Georgia Aquarium in downtown Atlanta for us this afternoon. Maria, thanks so much. Well, from marine mammals and fish to cars. All right, how's that for a transition? Want to head back out to our Chris Rosenthal at Atlanta Motorsports Park in Dawsonville with some cool vets behind you. What's going on out there, Chris?
Yeah, well, you know, speaking of marine mammals, we do have stingrays here, Corvette stingrays here. But yeah, Atlanta Motorsports Park, getting a look at some of the new Corvettes this year, and I tell you, it's pretty cool to see them, pretty cool to hear them. We'll hear them here coming up shortly here, the Stingray, the Grand Sport X's. But I got some really special people here to tell me all of this and give us a little bit of a tour here. I've got Josh, he is the chief engineer, and I got Aaron here, he is the vehicle performance manager here with the Corvettes here. So tell me about this new lineup we have here.
Yeah, we're very proud of what we brought here to Atlanta Motorsports Park. Behind me is the new model year 27 lineup. So the blue car is our Stingray model, which is the entry point for Corvette, $73,000, 200 mile per hour capable, 535 horsepower car, available Cooper convertible in any configuration of color and combination you'd like. The customization now in model year 27 is even more available than we've ever had. Yellow then in the yellow car is our Grand Sport model. So that's always a sweet spot within our lineup of where we tend to have a nice price point, nice entry point, and then the powertrain and the chassis that come along with it. So it's the wider model. So a lot of people like that look. Again, the new LS6 engine, 535 horsepower, coupe and convertible. And then new that we've never had before in 73 years of Corvette history is a Grand Sport X model. So takes the best of the Grand Sport and adds front axle electric motor capability. So you get an all-wheel drive, all-season Corvette, and an added bonus of 186 horsepower for a grand total of 721.
Wow! And so tell me, I mean, a little bit of the history here of the Grand Sport. What makes these special?
Sure. Yeah, it's timely that the Grand Sport was started in the 1960s in the second generation of car, where it was developed in secret as a race program. And there was only 5 cars built originally, hardtops, and just recently chassis number 3 sold for $18.7 million, setting an all-time record for a Corvette auction sale. So we didn't plan that, but it's nice and timely that we're now bringing out its kindred spirits here in the 8th generation. So the Grand Sport in the second, 6th, 7th, and 8th generation now, again, really is the sweet spot of the lineup. And so the heritage is very strong with the stripe package, the badging, the crests we do to identify the car, gives something special for the customers.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes to show that heritage. And Corvette fans, they really take it seriously, huh?
Very much so, yeah. You know, extremely loyal, extremely passionate, which is exactly what we want, right? People aspire to these, they want one, and we're so proud when we see them on the road. You know, that's one of the most prideful moments for us and our team is when you see a car and you know you contributed to that person's satisfaction. And again, it's the American sports car, built and made in Kentucky, engineered in this country, and that's something to be very prideful for. Recently, in the USA Freedom 250 race in Indianapolis 2 days ago, it was the pace car and the Grand Marshal cars, so we feel very blessed that it represents America.
Do you ever get told that you have the coolest job?
I do, by a lot of people, and I can't argue. I'm very blessed. I've been here 26 years with General Motors and have found my way into this dream scenario where I get to do things like this and represent our team.
before we listen to it here, what's it like to ride in one of these with all that power behind you?
Yeah, exhilarating is probably the best word I can use. And that's a lot of what we focus on is the experience. You know, it's not just about numbers. It's about the ownership experience. The sound is a big part for us. And I know Josh here will help show you that sound in the brand new LS6 engine.
Yeah, let's. I'm gonna come walk over here. I'm gonna walk Josh over here, chief engineer. He's gonna fire it up here. Let me get in place. I mean, I think you can safely hear that coming down the road anytime. You know, pretty noticeable and distinguishable there. So really impressed. Oh, it'll pull it away here too. Yeah, all these beautiful cars here. Getting to take a look. It's super cool.
I hope that they let you drive one of those things. I love the roar of those engines. I mean, that is pretty intense stuff. Don't get me wrong, I love electric vehicles, but there's nothing like the roar of a Vet like that. How much do they go for?
So my anchor here, Tom, he wants to, how much does that go for? One of those?
The Grand Sport?
Yeah.
Starts at $88,000.
Okay.
$88,000.
All right.
Yeah.
You know.
You know,
if I'm a Corvette enthusiast, yeah, that might be a worthy investment. To get to drive one of those things, wow. So cool.
And these ones right here, these are even more powerful here. These ones over here, so
more powerful, probably more expensive too.
Yeah, I mean, you got ones that got over 1,000 horsepower here. Some of these, huh?
We do. Yeah, it's a new era for Corvette. We've broken into the four-figure horsepower regime. 1,064 horsepower in the ZR1 in the yellow car, and then the silver car is 1,250 horsepower with the ZR1X. So this is the big brother to the Grand Sport X white car that we just showed you.
Wow. And that's a Pikes Peak winner, a new Pikes Peak winning car right there, the actual car you're looking at. So how many horsepower is that one?
Same as the silver, 1,250. So it really excelled going up into the altitude there where, you know, engines start breathing harder at the high altitude. The electric motor shrugs it off completely. So that was really the perfect choice for that race.
Yeah, and that was in June. That car's the winner. So just pretty amazing stuff and American traditions for sure.
All right, good stuff. Chris Rosenthal with some pretty Corvettes out there. And noisy ones, too, and expensive ones. Chris, thanks so much. We'll be right back. I want to take you back out live to Los Angeles for continuing coverage of our breaking story this afternoon. That is the death of Dolly Parton at the age of 80. Our reporter out in California from the Fox affiliate out there is talking to some well-wishers out of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Let's listen in for a second, see what they're saying.
And stuff like that as well. So it's touched the whole generation. Definitely.
It must be just surreal to be here visiting, right? And you see her star. And,
When we heard the news, like, obviously we thought we're actually moving on today from our vacation over to Anaheim today, but we had to come down and see it before we moved. Definitely.
Thank you so much again. And I know Dolly is smiling all in this room.
Hi. 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 Hi.
Sir, let's talk about your sign and why you're out here today.
Yeah, I met her when I worked as the Goodwill Ambassador in Beverly Hills for almost 12 years. I met many celebrities, but she was the most down-to-earth person and out of everyone. And beloved American icon has passed away today. Rest in peace. We will miss her.
What do you think made her that everybody loved her?
She was so just, you could feel the music down in her lyrics just to the heart. And I mean, before Beyonce, before Taylor Swift, there was Dolly. And that's it. Dolly, we will always love you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. That is a common phrase on site. We're hearing that. We will always love you. And I know she always said we will always love you. This is just a message. Very emotional, but also just gratitude for all that she has done for arts, for philanthropy, for Hollywood. And again, I just want to stress, as you heard right there, Marla, we're hearing people from the UK.
All right, that's our reporter. It's great to have access to other stations like this, especially our sister station out in Los Angeles. They're out at the Hollywood Walk of Fame remembering Dolly Parton, as so many people, not only here in the United States and in the Southeast, but all around the world. Well-wishers are expressing their sadness, their gratitude for Dolly's career and what she contributed to people's musical lives, their family lives, in terms of entertainment. She just touched so many aspects of people's lives around the world, and she is certainly being remembered not only in California, out at the Hollywood Walk of Fame, but everywhere. Dollywood. We got a statement from Dollywood, from Pigeon Forge, that read, in part, with heavy hearts, the Dollywood family mourning the passing of our beloved dreamer-in-chief, is what they call Dolly Parton. Everybody at Dollywood shares the sorrow of countless people around the world touched by Dolly's warmth, her wisdom, her generosity of spirit. Dolly's heartfelt wish was that Dollywood will always remain a place of joy, hope, and togetherness, a space where family and friends could honor her memory, not with silence, but with laughter and music and shared dreams. And so if one wonders what the future of a place like Dollywood holds, well, you just heard it there. Her legacy is going to live on there, and her spirit is going to live on at Dollywood, perhaps now more than ever. Dollywood's legacy and spirit will linger over the Dollywood community, and her music and her larger-than-life personality will be things that live on as well. Dolly Parton, dead at the age of 80. Want to thank you so much for joining us here for the 3 p.m. streaming hour. A lot of breaking news happening today. Appreciate you being here with us. I'm Tom Haynes, live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. Don't go anywhere. The news continues right here, right now.